We call to order our February 19th regular meeting of the City Council. Let's do our flag salute and then roll call. Roll call, please, City Clerk.
Councilmember Murray.
Present.
Mayor Woodard.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Wall.
Here.
Councilmember Sonmore.
Here.
Councilmember Matsumoto Wright.
Here.
Councilmember Doyle.
Present.
And Councilmember Page asked to be excused.
Move to excuse Councilmember Page.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? Approve. Call to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Motion passes. He is excused for the evening. Any late changes to the agenda? No late changes? Then we will, okay, then we will roll right into general public comment. City Clerk, do we have any general public comment?
We do have some for public comment. First, I'll read our protocols. The city welcomes general public comments at the beginning of council work sessions and meetings and comments on particular agenda items at the time they are discussed. Public comments are for the official record. Council does not respond to comments or questions during this time. Address the council as a whole, and comments shall pertain to topics, not individual council members, staff, or audience members. Limit your comments to no more than 5 minutes. The clerk will terminate comments beyond this allotted time or if there's a violation of these guidelines. Written comments received will be added to the official record but will not be read aloud. Our first commenter is Adam. Adam, you'll have 5 minutes to speak.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi. So I saw on Facebook that Mountlake Terrace is running a community safety series, including classes on situational awareness and self-defense for dangerous situations. I just wanted to take this opportunity to call back to a point I was trying to make back when FLOC was being considered. Why do we think of safety primarily in terms of crime? From a crime standpoint, Mountlake Terrace is an extremely safe place to live, but we're using resources to both bring hypothetical crime to the forefront of people's minds and teach them tactics to use should they ever find themselves in that rare situation where they're being physically threatened in our town. So my question is, if we're allocating resources to addressing hypothetical rare threats, why aren't we allocating them to addressing actual daily threats? Why aren't we using resources to bring to the forefront of people's minds the #1 daily threat to their lives and provide them with the tactics and tools to remain safe from it? I'm speaking about the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. Every public space, including hospitals and schools, is full of COVID year-round due to society's abandonment of public health and disease control. And each COVID reinfection causes long-term immunocompromisation and cumulative damage to your organs and blood vessels. Each reinfection is also a roll of the dice for that damage crossing into symptomatic long COVID or post-acute events like strokes, heart attacks, and pulmonary embolisms. On top of being a devastating health condition with no cure, long COVID puts people out of work and plunges them into poverty and homelessness. We are all highly vulnerable to long COVID. None of us is safe. Fortunately, we, both as individuals and collectively as a town, do have the tools to keep ourselves and each other safe. I'm asking the town to commit to using them instead of pretending the pandemic magically ended like the rest of the country. In the upcoming safety series, the town is going to teach situational awareness about crime. The town should also teach situational awareness about COVID. It could teach people how COVID is airborne and spreads from people breathing in and out, how it pulls and lingers in the air like smoke in indoor settings, how it also spreads outdoors, and how since COVID spreads both with and without symptoms, every person who isn't consistently wearing an N95 could be infectious at any moment. In the upcoming safety series, the town is going to teach self-defense from attackers. The town should also teach self-defense from the deadly, disabling virus that is literally everywhere. It can teach people about how wearing an N95 that fits you is approximately 100% effective at stopping COVID infection and transmission, about how running air purifiers can further reduce the amount of virus in the air in indoor spaces, and about how neither surgical masks nor hand washing will protect you from an airborne virus like COVID. Ideally, in addition to providing knowledge about these self-defense tactics, the town can also provide tools. It could distribute N95s to the community and start getting cheap, powerful homemade air purifiers like Quercy cubes into our schools and other public settings. I know nobody likes to think about the pandemic. I'm extremely tired of it myself, but the fact of the matter is that it's still the #1 daily threat to all of our well-being, and pretending that it ended isn't a strategy to protect ourselves or anyone from being maimed or killed by it. But that is a great strategy, though, for ensuring maximum harm. It's time for Mountlake Terrace to snap out of the denial that's gripping the society and start leading the way in fighting COVID, so that our schools, our medical settings, our workplaces, all of our public spaces become safe once again. Thanks.
One more, and that's Peter. You'll have 5 minutes at the podium. Can you please state your last name when you get there? Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Peter Triandafillo. By background, I've been a proud resident of Mountlake Terrace for over 5 years, and I have a licensed professional business in town, and I've been a member of the Chamber of Commerce for many years. And I'm here today to share some information with the council that you may or may not be aware of, and it's information about a problem that's significantly impacting the city and has for many months. And because I have not obtained any information to explain what's going to be done and when, there's no timeline as far as when the problem might get resolved. And it's not the most riveting issue, okay? I apologize for that in advance, but I still think it's a very real and important issue. It involves cell phone service. Okay, I think everybody would probably agree with me that having a cell phone and having that cell phone work properly is an essential tool to get through any activity in life, whether it be personal or professional or business or what have you. And I have uncovered and obtained information, including an email I got just about a week and a half ago from the company I'll be talking about that admitted in writing, that there is significant issues with 2 of their cell phone towers in town. And as a result of and making significant sectors of the city dead zones. And that includes where we are sitting right now. It includes, I've been investigating the situation for months and finally approached T-Mobile and got a response, spoke to corporate headquarters and finally got a response from them. I have an email. If you like, I can provide to the clerk or anybody else copies. I've already provided copies of the email and explanations to the city manager's office last week and to Ryan Das earlier this week. But it's a developing situation, and I thought it was more important for me to get it in front of your eyes now, and maybe you can get a solution. So what they have admitted in the email is since at least August 2nd of last year, that there have been major outages at these 2 cell phone towers, and that they opened repair tickets as early as August 2nd of last year to address these issues, which were caused by a radio malfunction in the area. And they've told me we already ordered the necessary replacement part as of February 2nd, 2026. Remember, I'm talking to them and get the email on February 7th. Our teams are working to resolve these outages as swiftly as possible and appreciate your patience throughout this process. Should you have any additional questions or concerns regarding the matter, you may contact me at the mobile number listed below, or you may reply to this email. And I certainly can go back to them and ask them a number of questions. But what they didn't supply to me, and I have talked to T-Mobile many times and texted and whatever over the months, and I got limited information about what the problems were. And at this point, I have no idea when the part might be received, when it might be installed, when service might be restored, all right? It may be next week. It may be next month. It may be next year. The problem is right now, right now, based on the 2 cell towers that are not functioning, it's the one, as I said, near the Safeway. There's one by the Safeway. Northeast of the Safeway on 44th and 212th. The second one is by the water tower. The third one is by the transit center. And the fourth one for T-Mobile is in the parking lot where you have Sorelli's Pizza and the Paramount Fitness Center. The bottom line is those 2 cell towers are not functioning. As a result, people are not, I get called all the time if I try to use the service. So I've had to go ahead and get a private Wi-Fi just to supplement my being able to get cell phone service. The problem exists next to all of our schools. In the event of an emergency, people are not going to get through phone calls, texts, uploading and downloading information through the email. That's a public, I'm afraid it's going to be a serious public emergency issue. On asking if the city can help me reach out to T-Mobile and get significant responses that let us make informed decisions about how we go forward and live a normal life. Thank you.
There are no more public comments.
Thank you, City Clerk. We will move on to the consent agenda. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Madam. Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the consent agenda items A through D.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Do we have any discussion? Seeing none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
I presume that was aye, not an opposed, and abstaining. Motion passes, or consent agenda passes, I should say. We're going to move on to what I call the best day of the year, which is the presentations of the Planning Commission, Workplan, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Commission, Arts Advisory, and Recreation and Parks Advisory Commission. In that order, we'll begin with the Planning Commission. Floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, council members. My name is Matthew Gissel. I'm the building official for this amazing community. I'm here to go over the Planning Commission accomplishments as well as our plan for the rest of the year. I'll start with a wonderful quote. When you look at a city, it's like reading the hopes, aspirations, and pride of everyone who built it. Let me exit out of all these things on my screen so I can actually see what we're doing here. All right, our 2025 Planning Commission members, Nick Batista, Adam Betcher, Denon Thompson, Cameron Wu, Clark Morgan, Jenna Stenson, Chris Finch, and Steve Lendis that helped January 2025 through October of 2025. Summary of our accomplishments. In 2025, Planning Commission successfully reviewed and recommended the comprehensive middle housing zoning amendments to align with Washington State House legislation. These updates ensured compliance with the House Bill 1110 and House Bill 1337, expanding allowable housing types citywide. The city included in this the development feasibility analysis specific to Mountlake Terrace. Commission worked through complex zoning and design standards to balance state mandates, neighborhood compatibility, infrastructure capacity, and community character. This was a major structural zoning shift and positioned Mountlake Terrace for long-term housing capacity. The amendments also modernize administrative and fee provisions to support its implementation. This work ensures Mountlake Terrace remains compliant, proactive, and intentional in how new housing integrates into our current neighborhoods. The Commission also reviewed and recommended updates to the Critical Area Ordinance and Floodplain Management Ordinance. These updates ensured continued FEMA compliance, environmental protection standards, consistency with the Growth Management Act requirements. Maintenance in these compliance keeps the city eligible for flood insurance programs, hazardous mitigation funding, and disaster recovery eligibility. This work protects both our environment and our residents' long-term financial security. The Commission also reviewed and recommended a new zoning designation for property later annexed into the city. This ensures seamless regulatory transition, infrastructure compatibility, and aligned with the long-range planning guidelines. Beyond its initial adoption, the Commission worked thoroughly in detailed implementation of our new housing standards. They reviewed development standards, design standards, housing type classifications. This ensured that duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes, cottage housing, and townhouses integrated appropriately in our community. They focused on livability, scale, and infrastructure impacts. This phase moved us from a policy adoption to a practical application of the code. They also recommended updates to the community trip reduction plan. This supports reducing vehicle miles traveled, environmental sustainability, transit-oriented development goals, and aligns with regional mobility and climate objectives. They reviewed the urban forest management plan. This supports our tree canopy preservation, climate resilience, and long-term ecological health. This integrates land use planning with environmental stewardship. They reviewed and recommended a draft for middle housing action plan. This moves beyond to the implementation tools that we will be utilizing. Permit streamlining, education, incentive strategies. This supports Council's housing supplying goals. We also reviewed updates to the Engineering Development Manual. This ensures infrastructure standards remain current, consistent between land use and public works requirements, and critical for long-term capital planning alignment. Our 2026 recommended work plan includes the Planning Commission reviewing updates to the city, water, and sewer comprehensive plans. These updates ensure infrastructure capacity aligns with projected growth and housing targets. This work is essential for state compliance, capital facilities planning, and developmental concurrency requirements. The Commission's role will be to ensure land use assumptions and utility capacity planning remains coordinated. Infrastructure planning is fundamental. Growth must be supported by reliable water and sewer systems. Commission will be updating 2 sub-areas of the city as determined by the commission of reviewing the city as a whole. These updates will evaluate land use patterns, development standards, economic vitality, community visual alignment. This allows more tailored planning solutions rather than a one-size-fits-all city standard. Sub-area planning ensures focused, place-based strategies. This allows us to fine-tune planning in key areas while maintaining consistency with the overall comprehensive plan. The Planning Commission will be conducting an annual comprehensive plan docketing process. This includes reviewing proposed amendments for the inclusion in the 2027 amendment cycle. It's not that far away. The process ensures transparency, public participation, compliance with the Growth Management Act. The Commission evaluates which proposals move forward for full review. This ensures the city maintains an orderly and legally compliant amendment process. We'll also be looking at zoning code and map amendments. We'll be addressing legislative requirements for Phase 2 zoning alignment. This ensures consistency between the comprehensive plan and the land use map itself, our zoning map, and development regulations. This is a critical implementation step following major housing legislation that has been adopted. Policy direction must be translated into zoning that is clear, implementable, and legally defensible. We'll also be looking at preparations for regulatory requirements for the possibility of short-term rentals. We will establish clear operational standards. This will balance neighborhood compatibility, housing supply considerations, and enforcement clarity. We'll be looking at the adoption of required amendments to reflect the Washington Code Council updates. This ensures local building code and fire code remain consistent with state mandates. This maintains minimum life safety compliance, makes sure that we are legally defensible, and consists with state building standards. This currently appears that it's going to be delayed until May of 2027, but we will know for sure once state legislation is finished. We'll be looking at amending administrative procedures to implement Senate Bill 5290. This has established new permit review process timelines. It improves predictability and transparency to development and review, aligns city procedures with statutory requirements. This strengthens accountability in permitting process and improves service delivery. And as always, we'll try to beat those timelines. We will review and recommend updates to the engineering development manual. Yes, this is late next year that we'll be doing, or late this year that we'll be doing that, as we always want to ensure infrastructure standards remain current, technically accurate, and aligns with capital planning. This is critical to maintaining consistency between development standards and engineering requirements. Planning Commission will receive development and economic activity updates twice per year. This helps provide insight to marketing trends, housing production, economic vitality indicators, and helps inform policy refinement and planning adjustment. This ensures the Planning Commission's decisions are grounded in real-time development data. 2026 is an implementation year. While 2025 focused heavily on structural housing and code alignment, 2026 advances infrastructure coordination, legislative compliance, and administrative modernization. This ensuring Mountlake Terrace remains proactive, compliant, and strategically positioned for growth. Leave it open. I know that was a lot.
That is questions, comments, feedback. Councilmember Sonmore.
Can you just tell us a little bit more about short-term rentals compared to like a long-term rental, compared to the World Cup coming in and people are doing short-term rentals?
Yes, we actually have it on an agenda to come to you first, I think next week or the next city council meeting to go over the holistically. So I'd be more than happy to dive into there so we can get a little more detail about it.
Others? Councilmember Murray.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Matthew, and thank you, Planning Commission. You have been very busy the last couple of years, so thank you for all of your work and diligence. By the time we see things, they have been very thoroughly reviewed, and appreciate all of that hard work that goes into ensuring that we are moving the right direction before we ever see anything. So thank you all for that work. I did have kind of a follow-up question on the short-term rental question, and I saw that on our upcoming agenda kind of preview. So just in terms of, I know it said, I think winter, spring, in terms of kind of timeline on our side, does that mean that we will have something ideally finalized before World Cup that we'll be able to communicate out to folks who are potentially, I will say I've gotten a couple of questions about kind of, folks just trying to think about what that might mean for them in terms of the World Cup being here for a month here this summer.
Yes, based on City Council's direction after that meeting, then we'll be able to create a more streamlined timeline on what that would look like.
Awesome, thank you. And then I was gonna say, I know we've talked about this as well, but you talked about the 2 sub-area plans. I know, again, there's a lot of excitement about that, and that's something that I know the Planning Commission has been working towards for a long time. So excited to see that work. Can you speak to which 2 sub-areas we're looking at this year? And just a little bit about anything you might like to share in terms of kind of what the initial thoughts are as you approach that work.
As part of the last comp plan update cycle, the Planning Commission kind of talked about what sub-area plans we wanted to tackle first. The goal is to tackle all of them. But resources are limited and time is limited clearly based off our current work schedule. So it's kind of squeezing it in where we can. And at that time, under that current Planning Commission makeup, we kind of voted on what we wanted to prioritize and kind of start out with. We've had a little bit of turnover since then. So I think the goal would probably just to revisit which ones we want to prioritize first. We obviously we have a town center plan. And for those of us who've been around long enough, we were part of the Melody Hill sub-area plan. Those are only 2 sub-area plans. So right now it'll probably be identifying where we can get the most bang for our buck first. So either, possibly Gateway, possibly, in the northeast quadrant of the city, where there's already established commercial development, and see where we can expand on that, and also, combine more transit-oriented development as well. We have to remember, it's like we don't have only our light rail station, but especially in the northeast part of the city, we're really close to Linwood's light rail station, and there's a lot of potential to kind of capture the demand off of that station as well, and ideally coordinate with our neighboring jurisdictions in terms of connectivity, to the major transit centers. But in terms of the actual list, which 2 we are going to handle this year, I would say to be determined, but most likely it's probably going to be the 2 that I just mentioned. And then we would kind of work from there and then decide what we wanted to tackle next. And part of this process will not only be just the sub-areas as they exist, but we're also going to be looking at is, do we want to keep the same size that they are in their current form? We've talked previously about some maybe too big, some could probably be split up, especially when we've got, like a good example, Gateway. Gateway is the entire southern part of the city, not just by the freeway, and those the eastern side of the city is a lot different than by the freeway, and doesn't really make sense for those to be in the same sub-areas. Looking at that, as part of the sub-area process, we're also looking at, strengthening neighborhood identity and neighborhood branding. And obviously that is coming second from the first part of the branding exercise that the city has instituted right now. And the actual neighborhood identity is coming next once the base branding is done. But it's part of these sub-area updates are going to be a way to how we can not only create an environment that exceeds all expectations for not only our residents, but actually draws more people into the city and helps support our businesses and make it more thriving. Because there's nothing worse than having to leave the city to do something. It'd be ideal if we could take care of all of our needs, not only within the city, but within the neighborhood, and not have to get in the car when every time you want to do anything. So, that's the ultimate goal. in looking at the subareas is how we can kind of spread the concept that we have for our town center, and to a lesser extent Melody Hill, to our other sub-areas as well. So we're kind of taking a holistic approach to the city.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I was going to say that was great information. So thank you. Excited to hear more about that work as you engage in it. And just as a reminder to folks, I was going to say, so your meetings are also open to the public, correct? Yes. And folks can come and listen, and there's an opportunity for them to provide feedback as well during that part of the process if they're interested. Yes? Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. Well, thank you for all of the work. Appreciate it. And nice to see you guys here tonight.
Thank you, Councilmember Murray. Others? Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to say mostly thank you. Two of us have served on the Planning Commission and recognize what an incredible heavy lift it is, and the work that you guys put in, particularly the last 2 years. I mean, going back to 24 with the comprehensive plan update was a tremendous amount of work and effort that you guys put in throughout the entire, really last previous 2 years, 24, 23, 24, and then last year with the housing issues continuing to be a challenge that we need to address and step up on, as well as a number of other issues that you guys continue to work on. This next year is going to be almost not relaxing, but a little less pressure on you. But still, the sub-area plans are going to be very excited to see what comes of that. And that, we've as you pointed out, over the years, we've had so a lot of work done on the town center and the Melody Hill sub-areas. And so the others really haven't had any work. So that's going to be a real challenge for you to put your arms around and run. And we're looking forward to seeing what recommendations you have for moving forward there. I did have a question on the engineering manual. So as I recall, we did a major update to the engineering manual a year or two ago. And then we did just last couple of meetings ago, we did some more code updates that was that last week that we did a whole bunch of code updates to the engineering codes. I'm assuming that the manual update is just revising based on the new code updates that we just adopted.
Yeah, so that'll be on, I believe it's going to be on a consent agenda soon for the EDM, Engineering Design Manual. But as you know, as we're implementing a large section like that, we always want to have an opportunity to go back and revise it as needed. So we're just putting it on the schedule to look at it again towards the end of the year, make any minor adjustments that we may need to as we test it out and they're utilizing it in the field.
Great. No, and I don't want to underemphasize how important that is. I mean, that making sure that our codes are that's another huge lift that you guys have been up to for the last couple of years is revising and updating all of our codes to make sure that, I mean, it had become over the years kind of a lot of hodgepodge of a whole bunch of great ideas that needed to be smoothed out. And you guys worked through that and did a tremendous job, have done a tremendous job over the last couple of years in making sure that we get that updated. Keeping a close eye on that is critically important. So appreciate the work that you guys are all doing to make that happen. I could go on, I won't. I just want to say again, thank you for the tremendous work that you guys have done, and Nick, particularly for your leadership over the last 20-some years now, serving on the Planning Commission. Your insight and background that you bring to the table, working on these important issues is really important, particularly having served on the Planning Commission now since we first brought the Town Center sub-area plan in 2008 to the city and got that adopted. So having that insight and background that you're able to bring to the table and share with everybody and keep everybody aware of what's happened in the past is really important, and really appreciate your work on that and your long-term commitment to improving our community. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate the compliment, and I would just like to say that I'm just one of many on the Planning Commission. So credit goes to all of my fellow planning commissioners. Everyone takes very considerate thought into the debate that we have on the various topics. And, we wouldn't be able to do anything without, the hard work of staff, especially on some of the short timelines that were given by state-level entities that, mandate certain changes on very short timelines. And as you guys well know, it's very difficult to sort of change your whole work plan and kind of shuffle the cards, to be compliant at that level while still maintaining your regular order and regular business as well. So it's a Herculean task that the staff is responsible for, and I'll never pass up a chance to offer my thanks to them for the hard work they do.
Outstanding. I see you want to check online. Councilmember Doyle, in case you don't have a hand raised, want to make sure you get a say in if you had anything.
Nothing to add, thank you.
Okay. Councilmember Sonmore.
I was just going to say thank you for thanking the staff, but also I was on your committee who selected you those many, many years ago. So Mayor Smith and I were there, and we've always been very proud of all the work that you've done. And this is our meeting tonight to thank all the volunteers, because we can't thank you enough. And Nick, you've been around for, is it 23?
Something like that, 23
years?
22, 23, something.
And having that stability and that knowledge that you gathered over the years and being a long-term resident, and I think you went to Mountlake Terrace High School too.
I did.
And so having that hometown feel, we just really, really appreciate everything that you do for the committee. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Councilmember Matsumoto Wright.
So I don't know if I was on there before you, but we're there around the same time, in the very beginning.
Yeah. Both you and Brian were there before, for at least a couple of years before I
Okay.
joined. So, but we were all together for a couple of years. So
I remember my time on the Planning Commission very, very fondly. I'm looking at all the things that you're doing, and I see that some of the stuff that we were working on in the past is still on there. We're going to work through it, and then a lot of new things are coming up. So it takes a long time, doesn't it, to get things done?
yes, it does.
And and we'll continue to do that. So, and I know that the big heavy lift with the Planning Commission this past year, and all these years actually, have been a lot of work. And so I'm not on it anymore, but I appreciate what all you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you kindly. Any others? Seeing none, we'll round it out, but actually we'll pause and make sure that you feel like you had your say. It was an interesting presentation style. Thank you for that, sir. I want to make sure you had a chance to speak your mind as well.
Just pretty much the same thing I say every year is, kind of, provided my feelings, how much appreciative I am for staff. But, again, being on the Planning Commission as long as I have, having to see multiple economic cycles, and there always seems to be that timing where we come up with all these great plans right as we're into an economic downturn. And then we look at the plans and no action happens for 5 or 10 years, and then it's time to revise the plans again. So unfortunately, we're kind of in one of those economic depressions right now, but I think the one thing that is different than from years past or even decades past is the fact that we do have the light rail now as a main catalyst, at least for the town center. And the demand is high enough where we're still seeing development interest and activity regardless of the current economic cycle. We have there are a couple of things in the pipeline already, and they're either finished their permitting process or they're well into it, and hopefully they'll be shovel ready fairly soon, and they'll want to commence. But, interest rates, when they're high, developers, want to sit. So it's, I think it's an exciting time that with the light rail and, the future type of development that we're going to see bringing to this town, it's really going to help get us to where we have wanted to be for decades, to be more economically diverse, provide more businesses, but also more residential types, more transit-oriented development. So I think while, the economics and the B counters, they always have the final say. I think we're probably in a better place than we have been in previous cycles when we've updated our major plans. So, I'm waiting with bated breath to see how things will turn out. But in the meantime, we don't sit on our laurels. We just, we keep moving forward and try and tackle all of these things that have kind of been on our to-do list for some years, sometimes even decades, and get all of that in so we are ready when the demand does peak, and we're ready to go and we're not caught flat-footed, and we can sort of outcompete our neighboring jurisdictions. Let people know that this is the place they want to be.
Excellent. I was checking in, make sure that didn't inspire anybody's comments, question, or feedback. None. Matthew, would you mind backing up to the slide, I think it's number 5, that has all the commissioners up there? And really just wanted to use them with my comments, and just really to echo what Councilmember Sonmore just said, that really this is also just a thank you to the volunteers. And I want to recognize that all of you are absolutely volunteers, and you go way above and beyond for this city. And then just selfishly speaking as a council member, the work that you all do to whittle down some of this work so that we can do our work as well does not go unnoticed, and yet I think it goes very much unnoticed by most of the city. But it does not go unnoticed by the 7 of us up here, as well as the staff, of course. So really just thank all of you for the work that you continue to do on behalf of this city. I know you love it as much as us, if not more, because again, you all do it without the limelight, and much appreciated the work that you all put in. Thank you for that partnership. And with that, we will move to our next presentation, which is the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Commission Work Plan. And that one will be with our Deputy City Manager.
There it is. Okay. Well, thank you, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and council members, first for moving us up on the list of presenters tonight for the first time. Tonight, we're here to present our accomplishments for 2025 and our goals for 2026. I'm joined by Vice Chair Teresa Courtney and Commissioner Vanita Francisco. To the mission. That's us. Here we go. Mission. Our mission to celebrate and promote a diverse, equitable, and inclusive culture within the community, eliminate any form of actual or perceived discrimination, and help community members from all backgrounds to learn, grow, and thrive. Next. Our work was focused on 2 primary areas: planning and supporting planning processes, and community engagement and celebrating.
We were very pleased and excited to have the council approve our strategic plan this year. That was a wonderful thing. The strategic plan was developed with community input in collaboration with the staff DEI work group, and also robust discussions among us, all of us on the commission. We supported development of various plans through conversations about equity policy at DEIC meetings, encouraged community participation and the information gathering process, and by encouraging people to attend public meetings and attending public meetings ourselves. We continued hosting community conversations to build relationships and encourage people to engage in city partnerships, with the city partnered with other organizations, and collected data for the DEI strategic plan. We started out with an open house in January 2025 that was well attended. That one was here at the City Hall. We partnered with Snohomish County Health Department at the library and to host a bilingual English-Spanish conversation The strategic outreach resulted in great participation with our Latino Hispanic community. And last fall, we partnered with the Lake Ballinger Center to host a conversation at their location. We advertised broadly to encourage people over 55 to attend and to discuss their experiences in Mountlake Terrace.
Okay. Oop. All right, we partnered with Snow Isle and many local nonprofits to host the second annual Juneteenth More Than a Day event on Civic Campus. The event was hosted on Father's Day and the theme was fatherhood. This was a great way to connect with community members and nonprofits and other agencies across Snohomish County. And there was no rainstorm in the middle of it. The commission decided to host a cultural festival in commemoration of Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Island Heritage Month at the Terrace Park Elementary School. We were fortunate to have participation from Homage Senior Center, Ohula Olehani, Redfish Bluefish, Photography, and Edmonds School District. The commission hosted our second Welcoming Week on Civic Campus in collaboration with the Arts Advisory Commission and Mountlake Terrace Friends of the Arts on the opening weekend of the Arts of the Terrace Juried Art Show. This year, the event was musical and dance performers, as well as tabling by many community partners. For the second year, the commission hosted a Children's Day event prior to the City Council meeting in April. We welcomed families to bring children to meet council members and be photographed and make a proclamation on the dais. We also organized a dance and musical performance by Rain or Shine dancers.
And more in partnerships, commissioners provided support to a community member who wanted to host an important historical commemoration of the 50th anniversary of the Vietnamese diaspora to the U.S. And the commission partnered with Snow Isle Libraries to host Professor Luther Adams through Humanities Washington in honor of Black History Month. Commissioners also participated in an Edmonds School District event last January to host a table with DEI commissioners from Linwood and Edmonds to meet other community groups and individuals at Linwood High School. We gathered information from students about their values related to diversity, equity, and inclusion. Throughout the year, we found opportunities to meet community members, spread the word about our programs and the city, and learn from them. These photos show how we have been growing relationships across the city and region. We invited DEI staff and commissioners from around Snohomish County to march with us in the parade. We enjoy tabling and meeting folks at various events such as National Night Out. Our relationship has grown with members of Masjid Umar Farouk, and we have been invited to iftar. We collaborate frequently with the Edmonds School District, and several commissioners enjoyed a tour of the district facilities and Mountlake Terrace High School. We also have been developing relationships with the Indigenous Parent and Student Group, Latino Educational Training Institute, and Lake Ballinger Center. And on to our community ambassadors. This is what we're most excited about. We have 11 community ambassadors onboarded and anxious to get involved in commission endeavors. We already have a lengthy calendar of opportunities for commissioners and ambassadors to continue growing our community engagement.
So looking ahead to 2026, our goals include successfully launching the community ambassadors and strive to retain the group through 2027 into 2027, continue building trust and long-lasting relationships with our community members, meet milestones and performance measure goals in the DEI strategic plan, as well as evaluate ways the city can remove or reduce barriers for community members and provide more equitable services and processes. So implementing our DEI strategic plan, As part of our DEI implementation plan, we will provide more opportunities to build community, improve trust, address community members' sense of safety, and increase intercultural relationships. And this is a nice grid roadmap that might look like, but many of those will happen along the way simultaneously. As for evaluating and removing barriers, we will also continue to work with staff to develop tools, policies, and procedures to help remove barriers and make opportunities in Mountlake Terrace more accessible to our community members, job applicants, and contractors.
And finally, thank you for your continued support in DEI endeavors.
Outstanding. Questions, comments, feedback? I see Councilmember Doyle.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Scott and Vanita and Courtney. It's so exciting to see this work as one of the original members of the DEI Commission. You know, in the very beginning, it was well, it was an open slate. Like, what will this be? And it's really exciting to see all the work that you have done. And it's in my brain. So it's also related to, like, last week we were talking about the branding of our city. And I think a lot of the branding is the feeling of our city. And a lot of the work that you and your commission do has to do with how it feels to be a community member here and how we attract new community members. So thank you for everything. It's really wonderful to see all that has been accomplished over the last few years.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Councilmember Murray.
Thank you, Mayor. I was trying to let other people talk because, you know, I can say lots of things to this group, but I'm happy to lead us off after Councilmember Doyle. Thank you to all of you. So I have the opportunity, I guess for those who don't know, I get to be the liaison to this wonderful group from our council. So I get to see them, you know, regularly in action, and they are just, I think Councilmember Doyle said feeling, and I'm going to have feelings. They are just some of the most committed and caring folks that I have ever met, and they care so deeply about the community and the folks in it. And not only do they have those feelings, but they turn those feelings into action. And I just couldn't be more appreciative and more proud to have you doing that work on behalf of our community, because it makes our community better. And to look at where we were, you know, 5-6 years ago when the commission started and where we are now in terms of the partnerships that exist within our community and the relationships that have developed and are building, you know, a lot of that credit goes to each and every one of you and all of the hard work that you do. So thank you for that. I would like to thank Deputy City Manager Hope as well. The Commission mentioned her last night at their meeting and just their appreciation, you know, in her work to bring both community and the Commission's work forward and drive it forward. So I do want to make sure that staff get recognition as well, because it takes support from city staff in order to make all of these wonderful things happen. And so just congratulations on another good year. I'm so proud of all of your work getting that diversity, equity, inclusion plan through that entire very inclusive and thoughtful process. And also just so excited about the Community Ambassador Program. It was really fun to see some of those folks at the meeting last night. And I think, again, you just continue to build on the work that you are doing each and every year and should be very, very proud of yourselves. And I am very thankful for that work that you do, both as a community member and a council member. So thank you and congratulations.
Thank you, Councilman Murray. No, don't feel compelled. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, like Councilmember Murray, I was trying to wait and give others a chance because, you know, one of my favorite topics is talking about culture. And so let me step back and say thank you for everything you guys have done. The work that you've put in for the last several years, but particularly last year in coming up with a strategic plan was critical. And then where we're going with creating the community, the Community Ambassador Program is tremendous. I just can't wait to see how that transpires. But what you guys are doing to break down barriers and create opportunities for everyone in our community to feel engaged, and opportunity to be involved and active in our community is amazing. So really appreciate what you're doing. I'm going to close out with a quote that I saw actually on a wall while I was traveling. "Travel is fatal to prejudice, bigotry, and narrow-mindedness." That was by Mark Twain, a quote by Mark Twain that should come in real handy. But what I'm going to point to is for for those of us that have traveled, you see how much that opens your mind to different worlds and people and experiences, and how amazing this world really is. And for those that aren't able to travel, the next best thing is bringing that to our community members and sharing what each of our different cultures that live here in our community, what their culture is with the rest of our community. And so the events that you guys are doing is a tremendous opportunity. I'm really excited about things like the World Fair celebration, whatever we're hoping we're going to try and bring, International Fair, I guess it is, that I hope we're going to be able to bring to our community this year. But more events sharing the different cultures and experiences and backgrounds of people all around the world, and it is just really excites me, and I look forward to seeing us continue to make that happen for years to come. So thank you for all the great work you guys are doing. Appreciate it.
You don't have to say anything.
We're trying to be polite, and we're all trying to talk at the same time, so that's why we're looking at. And the air's on us. Not that I hate it, but we're all sniffling, so sorry about that. It's just a wave of air coming in at us. But I'm going to ask a different question. How are you guys enjoying being on the commission? Just to kind of have some feedback.
What was the question again?
How are you enjoying being on the committee?
Oh, well, what we enjoy, well, from my perspective, what I enjoy is the camaraderie that takes us beyond who we are. Like, we're bringing ourselves to this commission, but we're taking that out into the community. I'm not that good myself, but as a group, we can put together some thoughts about how we should proceed into the community, and the purpose for that, like the planning committee, being part of the planning committee, and getting out and treating others in the community to opportunities to learn about planning, that I really enjoyed having that license to be out there. And after that came a lot of what we're experiencing today, all of the other kinds of events and opportunities to meet people. Yeah.
And I was a pretty new resident when I joined the commission, and for me, it's been an exploration of the community and the people in our city. I've learned a lot about the city, but I'm excited about Mountlake Terrace, and I love being able to spread that to other people. And I love tabling. I love talking to people from different places and finding out what makes them feel safe, what they enjoy about Mountlake Terrace. I think it's really important to make everybody in our community feel like part of it. And I've made really great friends on the commission too, which has been wonderful. So.
I think one of the things that I enjoy the most about being part of this commission is an example that we had in our meeting last night. We are supporting Edmonds School District in March with a multicultural night, multilingual night. And so my little subcommittee that included a community ambassador and our student commissioner, we'd sent out some ideas by email, and I had asked if one of the other people would like to share what our thoughts were. And They took what we had drafted online and then just brought a picture to life in the group explaining what the idea was. So they took that initial jumping off point and then just painted a whole different bigger picture than where I thought we had started from. And I think that that's the value that we have when we do this type of work, is we're bringing people in and then we're creating a mural together. And so I see that all of this collaboration and connection and more people getting involved in our city and coming to meetings and knowing what's going on and caring instead of just complaining into a void. So I think that's one of the great things that we get to do as being part of this commission.
One of the early wins was meeting members of the masjid here in Mountlake Terrace. And we got to know them through the efforts of the planning committee and finding people there interested in what the city is planning for the next 20 years. And that has brought them here on a regular basis, and now they have a personal relationship with the council, and we feel very fortunate for that new and growing relationship.
Add on to, have you reached out to St. Pius as well?
Yes, we did go there. That was part of our that was on the list, but I don't know if anybody came here from St. Pius.
We have an active employee at our city involved in that church, so.
Oh, I see, okay.
And I'll add to it, St. Pius did come to us. They came to us to ask for funding for Mercy House, and we declined it. Any other comments, feedback, or input? Councilmember Matsumoto Wright.
Well, I'm really glad to see what is happening in that committee right now, because when it got started, it was a tough start. And it took a while. And I almost gave up, but I thought, no, I can't give up. And look at what's going on now. I've been to almost all of your activities, and the sharing with the community, the sharing of diverse cultures, which is something that I've been wanting to do for a long time, but I didn't know how. But you guys did it. I didn't tell you how to do it. I didn't tell you anything. You guys did it. So I'm just sitting and watching from the sidelines, and I'm just glad someone is doing it so that I can enjoy coming to it. And that's pretty much all I have to say, but thank you so much. It's really coming together now.
All right, any other feedback, comments? Seeing none, we'll reserve mine. Would you mind jumping back to slide 2? In the past, my theme has been, how have you spent that money we've dedicated to you all? This year's theme is, I want you to look at the pictures as I'm talking. It's going to be the one that has all of you right there. Perfect. Firstly, let me just again acknowledge the volunteer nature of the work you're doing. Thank you so much. I know it's a lot of work. You probably had the hardest challenge in the beginning when we think about why it was a hard start, because this council said, good luck. We created you. Tell us what you want to do, and waved at you. And instead of walking away, you created something amazing, which is to also point out, as folks are looking at that, and to keep these in context, you will note there are no African Americans on this council, on this commission, which is to say you missed a huge accomplishment of yours, which is you had at least 2 at one point, and they now sit up here on this dais, right? One is online at the moment. The other one is traveling or something to that effect, so he's not here tonight. But that's a huge accomplishment that both of them started with your DEI commission. Which I know when I was envisioning getting you all created, it was to make sure that we had more voices at the table. And now we literally have more voices at this table. So I wanted to make sure you said thank you for that. Can you jump now to slide 14, which I'll help you out, is the one where you actually helped a community member bring something to life. Yes, so one too far, perfect. And really, this one's now to everyone in the audience watching on the videos or just hearing this at some point. Firstly, thank you to Tuha for speaking up, recognizing that maybe there was a way in which to move an idea forward, but having the passion and looking for a way in which to express it. And she found you all. It wasn't just found you, of course, I connected her to you all, but the point of it remains, you all had to do the work to decide whether or not you wanted to work with her. And I just wanted to make sure that that goes acknowledged, because that too was one of these goals, if you will, in creating commissions and making sure that voices get heard. I almost promise you we would have done nothing if she hadn't spoken up with celebrating the 50 years of the Vietnam refugee experience, right? So it's one of those to where we say a city can only do so much, but we do look to our residents to tell us what we should be doing, but it's even more important if you can step up. So that's a different form of volunteering, but just recognizing that that's a passion and a new pivot point, if you will, with you all here. And so just appreciate that, so that she was able to connect her passion and actually pivot it into reality with the city's help. So just really wanted to make sure that we did that. And then the last one, because you talked about the work you're already doing with the school district, but I wanted to just acknowledge that you also have Women's History coming up. And I wanted to, one, applaud you all for putting Women's History as a proclamation. I know you go through that process and it hadn't made it in the past, but it made it this year. So thank you for that. But that you've actually not left it at a proclamation, that you actually have an event going on, which again is to just acknowledge the hard work that you all are doing. And trusting that folks are receiving it well, whether they are in the room when it's happening or learning about it and then getting inspired later to be involved in the future. So again, just want to say thank you all for the hard work that you're doing. Do keep an eye on the makeup of your commission, though. I will say yet is a challenge I think you all have that the other commissions don't necessarily have as paramount. But to kind of recognize that cultures will be reading this and going, well, I don't see myself there. Or am I supposed to be a part of that? And so celebrate your history. And I would say the next time you have a council member emerge from your ranks, please acknowledge that, because that is absolutely part of your work plan. They were part of that camaraderie you were talking about. And now they transitioned up here. So congratulations all the way around, and appreciate you. With that, we're going to move on to the next presentation, which is with our Arts Advisory Commission, and that will be led with Jeff Betts, our Parks, Recreation and Parks Director. The floor is yours.
Well, good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and council members. My name is Jeff Betts. I'm the Recreation and Parks Director for the city, and I'm actually filling in tonight for the Arts Commission Liaison, Renee Norton, who is homesick tonight. But I'm just here to introduce the two that will give you your presentation tonight on the Arts Advisory Commission's work plan. So we have Vice Chair Ben, and then we also have Commissioner Megan Hogue. And so they will run through the current commissioners, as well as our past kind of accomplishments and the work plan for this year.
Thank you, Jeff. Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and City Council members. As Jeff mentioned, my name is Ben Ho. I'm the Vice Chair of the Arts Advisory Commission, and joined again with Commissioner Hogue, who is our newest commission member, and it's very exciting to have her around on our commission. Tonight we're going to be presenting just some of the, just going over the mission of the Arts Advisory Commission. We'll talk about our 2025 accomplishments, and then Megan will take over and discuss our upcoming work plan for this calendar year as well. I would be remiss to not just mention all the wonderful people who are on the Arts Advisory Commission. It is a pleasure to serve with all of them and to hear all the different perspectives and to have them around. It's a wonderful group to work with a lot of great ideas about arts and culture within our lovely city. Chair Ryan, who could not be here tonight, is the chair. Myself, Judy Ryan, Bonnie Mercer, Michelle Seneschal, Janie Hoff, and Megan Hogue, of course. The Arts Advisory Commission has a very exciting mission, which is to nurture, support, and promote cultural arts because it is such a vital element of our community tapestry. It's about improving our quality of life, about supporting economic viability of our community, and to help nurture and keep nurturing and to help grow our vibrant community identity. As we know, arts and culture is the heart and soul of any community, no matter where you might go, and it is really exciting for us to be able to help this, what we have, foster and grow, to foster what we have to help it grow and become its own thing in this area. How might we do this, you might ask? A lot of our work revolves around collaborating with local artists. For example, one of the things that we're very excited about is if you've been to the library recently, there's a really great exhibit hung up there right now on the walls. A lot of great pieces in there. I encourage you to check that out, folks online as well. And that is a rotating thing that we have the pleasure of sharing with our community members as well as those who come and visit as well. It's about creating opportunities for artists, whether it be performing, whether it be visual arts, or for example, literary arts as well. It's about a lot of our work revolves around trying to encourage public partnerships between public entities and private entities as well to try to fund activities and to help make things happen within our community. A lot of our work is also around engaging with our community to help educate, inform, and inspire folks within our city, as well to invite people to come in. And as long as I have the floor here, I'd also remind people online that our meetings are open and that we would love to hear from you as well. It's very exciting here when people have public comments and to share their perspectives on where they would like to see the arts and the cultures, and the celebration of culture within our community as well. I want to talk a little bit about some of our 2025 accomplishments. We obtained, again, the Snohomish County Hotel and Motel Grant, which is very helpful for supporting one of the biggest artistic celebrations in our community, which is the annual Arts of the Terrace Juried Art Show that is hosted in conjunction with the Friends of the Arts of Mountlake Terrace. And I have some exciting statistics to share. This past year, we received 834 entries of art for the Juried Art Show. Of these, 376 of them were juried in, and we were also able to sell 58 pieces of art. It was really wonderful to see people from within our community as well as external people traveling as far as renting and whatnot, coming in to check it out. And we did keep track of folks who have been coming in as best you can, and it is truly one of the, people have noted, one of the best art shows in the area, with a lot of interest of people coming in, being blown away by the quality of the art, as well as how the art is just hung as well. The Friends of the Art and the Arts Advisory Commission does a great job hanging putting that show together. No doubt you have driven around, you've probably noticed some of those wonderful sign boxes, or such as the one down by 236 depicting people enjoying our community. You might have also noticed the one, or maybe not, down by the Sound Transit station, the light rail station, that is wrapped in trees, and it very nicely blends in with the surrounding greenery there, so it fades in, which I think is really great for a big box. A lot of our work in this past year as well, we also recommended musicians for the Terrace Summer Night Music in the Park series. It was very exciting for us to review the artists that submitted an application for the opportunity to perform for our city, to have people come in and enjoy the music as well. A lot of other work, trying to engage with doing some community outreach. We have information put in the city happenings, the Craze Recreation Guide. We have social media posts online, as well as postcards get sent out. And as I mentioned earlier, there's always a very nice artistic exhibit going on at the Mountlake Terrace Library. So it is worth poking your head in there once a month, if not more often, to enjoy that. I shall now turn it over to Megan to discuss some of the upcoming work that we have planned for 2026.
Hi there. So I just appreciate being included in this, because I've only been a part of the commission for just a few months, but I just see incredible things happening within our community. So I want to share with you guys some of our ideas and our vision for 2026. We want to identify a list of artists that are local to Mountlake Terrace so that we can reach out and we can connect people together that are specifically within Mountlake Terrace. And we want to look for opportunities for new grants and identify other funding opportunities so that we can expand our outreach. And we want to identify partnerships and sponsorship opportunities with businesses here so that, again, we can expand that outreach. We want to coordinate with Friends of the Arts in support of the art show that it'll be our 46th show this year. And so we're really looking at developing a marketing campaign so that we get more foot traffic so that everyone gets to experience the wonderfulness that occurs during that week at the library. We also want to encourage and promote more live entertainment. We got 47 entries for bands this year, so we're sorting through all of that. And we want to create and support opportunities for artists, including visual artists and performing and literary. So it's just not the visual, it's everything that encompasses art. So that we can draw more folks in and expand those volunteer opportunities for art-related programs. So how we intend to do this is through the community outreach, so through news releases, websites, the city happenings, craze, and also social media. And then we also serve as the selection committee for the Manu Student Art Scholarship Fund, and we are also in talks of exploring locations for the 1% for the arts currently. Do you guys have any questions?
Questions, comments, feedback? Mayor Pro Tem, I saw Mayor Pro Tem's hand first.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you. You know, it's hard to say how important a role art plays in life. And, you know, you mentioned heart and soul is absolutely appropriate. It transforms shared spaces into vibrant, culturally rich places and fosters community identity, pride, and belonging. So it's really appropriate. It follows on our DEI commission because art plays such a critical role in sharing who we are and creates that identity. And so really appreciate everything you guys are doing and have done. The art show is tremendous. I'm excited about how we're going to use the 1% for the arts. I'd really like to look forward to working with you and hear your input on kind of developing a plan for how we can better utilize that 1% and really use that to share our identity and creating the art that we want for our community and putting that out there in big public art spaces. You know, that's how do we, you know, how do we build on not only the 1% for the arts that we have, but are there other opportunities to be able to get funding? You mentioned going out for grants and be able to get funding for building bigger and better art opportunities in our community. I'd be remiss not to mention how important water features are. That's for you, Jeff, and Jeff. But another thing I'd love to explore is how we, the live activities, the performances is great. I'm really excited about how far we've come on that, and we're getting so much attention and so many applicants for performing here in our community. I'd love to see us explore how we do performing arts theater, looking at murals, doing more murals in our community, and filling up any blank spaces. Anytime we see a blank space, let's figure out how to fill it, whether it's private and working with in fact, we know that right over here, he's interested in having, filling a blank space. So if there's private folks, let's reach out and start talking to those people that own private blank spaces and figure out how we can bring art to them. And if you see any public spaces, any of our buildings that have, or walls or anything that has a blank space, let's figure out how to fill it with art. And then, I wanted to mention the wrapped utility boxes. I'm just so thrilled that we're doing that. So anytime we see more opportunities to cover utility boxes with art, let's do it. And then think about doing maybe an art fair or something like that. I know that Sarah Frost has done something similar in a lot of different communities and kind of brings that touch to a lot of different things that she does and activities. And I think the Chamber's planning on doing something and potentially have something in the international fair along those lines. But just an art fair where people have an opportunity to share what they're doing, not only the juried art show, but just trinkets and stuff and things they've collected from everywhere and been able to put their own creative touches on. Let's share that with and create opportunities for people to share those in our community. So anyway, just a lot of ideas, a lot of excitement around what you guys are doing. Appreciate all the work you're doing to bring it all to our community. Thank you.
If I may, I appreciate you bringing those all up because I think that there's a lot of really exciting ideas that have been floating around the commission. Everything you've talked about are things that we've been just kind of thinking about. Like, for example, 1% of the arts. Jeff very kindly gave us a briefing on the state of funding for that. And I think one of the things we're thinking about in terms of how to use those funds is to come up with a framework to say, hey, if kind of this grassroots kind of thing, like, hey, let's get a bunch of ideas together. Let's figure out what it might cost. What ideas do we collectively like? How much it might cost, and then figure out how we might be able to implement that and talk about where, what is it, where, is it appropriate? Do we think that's aligned with what we want to see? You mentioned murals. I think that's something that we've talked about a bit as well, trying to figure out how to get that done. I think, going around and walking around Edmonds, or I was recently in Montreal, and it's the same way. Every spot you look, there's something really exciting and fun going on. So I think that's something that I think we're keen to work on. I think and I think in terms of this is why I think one of the big challenges that we have in trying to build more of these events. For example, you mentioned theater. We don't really have that kind of infrastructure. The rec pavilion is not really set up for that. There's some talk about getting some more infrastructure set up in parks as well that make it more conducive for having for example, Shakespeare in the Park or something. But that's one of those things that's kind of we got one hand tied behind our back. But I think there's a lot of passion about trying to find ways to work around it. I think it's a scrappy attitude. I think we certainly figure it out. But I just want to highlight that. And I think the last thing I want to highlight was, or just in that line, is just want to thank Andrew Applewick for all the work he's done in coordinating, doing a lot of work to coordinate, putting requests for bands out and then, giving us all the information that we need to score these artists and help make an informed decision on what artists to invite to our these music and party events as well.
Outstanding. Others? Councilmember Murray.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you all for the presentation tonight. Welcome, Megan. It's very nice to have you here. +1 to water features. I'll always add a pro water features add-in. But really, besides the fact that I think water is amazing, and I think particularly living here, many of us are drawn to water. I think part of it for me is the interactive nature of a lot of water features. And I think that is something that I would I appreciate that we were thinking about different ways that folks can interact with art, because I think that does look different for different people. And so I appreciate, particularly as you're talking about your work plan, the variety of different mediums and ideas that you all have. Congratulations on another amazing art show, though. That is a big part of, there are people that know where Mountlake Terrace is because we have this art show. And I will say that was not something I was super, I didn't realize the impact of that prior to joining the council. And I don't know that folks in our community always recognize what an important event that is, particularly for folks who are in the art world. But I mean, if folks haven't been, I mean, I appreciate that you're working on a marketing plan, because it is such a gem of an opportunity for folks to be able to participate in a really like high level art show right here within our own community. And so just thank you for all of the continued work of the commission in making those things happen. Thank you for the shout out, reminding folks they can attend your meetings. I love that. All of our boards and commissions, folks can attend those meetings and would encourage them to do so. You're often talking about things long before they get to the council, and so it's a great opportunity to share feedback and perspectives. I love that you talked about nurturing and growing a vibrant community identity. Thank you for that. I think we've been talking a lot about that, and art absolutely is a critical part of that. So love that, love the library exhibits. That's always neat to see how different they are. And I like that my kids sometimes will see them before me because they make it over there more often than I do. And so, I mean, I think just being exposed to art, I mean, so my kids are 11 and 14, right? Like we may not always make it to an art gallery, right? But to have art someplace that they're going anyway, like that's important exposure. And so I appreciate all of the little ways that you guys continue to add art within our community. Because again, it makes our community better. It exposes us to new things, new cultures, new perspectives, new lenses. And so I'm very grateful for all of the work that you do and where it's popping up. Sorry, I took lots of notes, and sometimes I will say, to build on part of, I think what Mayor Pro Tem Wall was talking about in terms of, looking for opportunities I think we have folks who there's a hunger for art. And I think it was really fun to see the offer put forward by local muralist Henry, and just the many places that we've had art kind of grow within our community this last year. And that wasn't something that the city took on, right? Those were individual residents and a local artist who, he put forward an opportunity, and there were local folks who were like, yes, I want more of that art. I will say that makes me so happy. Every time I see one of those, like, it makes me smile. And I think, thinking about opportunities like that as well, how do we connect? I love that you're looking for local artists and trying to make sure that we know who those folks are, because how do we connect people that are doing art with people who want more art? I think there's a lot of opportunity there to just support it, and I think it's actually a really good example of, I think, where the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Commission has done really good work in recent years. They have been able to really expand their impact, not by taking on everything themselves all of the time, but really helping to build relationships and connections and partnerships that help facilitate and kind of move there's, I think, lots of people wanting to do lots of good things. So how do we help connect those folks and enable that work? So anyway, just grateful for all of your volunteerism. Thank you for all of the work that you do to make our community more vibrant, more beautiful, more exciting. Excited to see where the commission goes here in the coming year.
If I may respond to that briefly, I appreciate you bringing up interactive art as well. I think that means a lot of things. What is art? What do you want to see? What does interactive mean to you? That means something to me. It means something different to Megan, and certainly to all of you, that's something different as well. And I think I will once again get on and say, community members, please come talk to us and tell us what you want, because it's kind of without our, the people we serve, the constituents' voices, it's very difficult. It's more difficult to have, to meet the needs. And as you mentioned, there's a big hunger for artists. I had a very nice conversation with someone at Hopua, the brewery tap house down in the new, down by the light rail station. They mentioned that they would love to have, artists come in and hang on their walls, but, how do we do, they don't know any artists. We know some artists. And I think one of the things that I'm keen on doing is trying to build those connections and say, hey, what do you want to do? What would you like in your business? And how do we know someone? Can we connect these pipes here as well? And, I think there's a lot of opportunities to do stuff like that. One of the things we're also working on is trying to partner with the library, as you mentioned, just like augmenting the stuff they're doing. So one of the things Megan and I are working on is trying to figure out how to get an art drive going to make sure that the art supply drive to make sure that the library programs have the materials that they need to sustain what they have, as well as trying to make sure, find opportunities for artists in the area to perhaps host program there or something. And I think that all these efforts combined can make a really big difference for the tapestry.
Councilmember Sonmore.
Thank you. And you do have a full list of artists with all the art people. Just on page 7, I see Mike O'Day, Lori Knight, Chip Amadon, Those are just some of our local artists, raised in a house with an artistic mother, drug around to every art gallery, playing Masterpiece. What was it? Masterpiece. It was a board game. As a kid, it was like, no, not another art show, but as I got older, I learned how to appreciate it and understand the artistic influence that it had on me. And I noticed the last couple of years at our art show, a lot of the people that are entering are in their retirement years. And I've seen that change quite a bit. And it's actually very exciting for me to see that, because I see how honored they are at our art show. And one of the reasons we bring in a lot of people is the money that we have to give for awards. And I know that might sound bad, but it's really not. It's something to show artists that our community cares about artists. And it's something, you look like you got a Snohomish County hotel motel tax, but you also got one from the city as well. And so one of the things that we've always told our arts commissioners is always look for other sources of funding. And I don't know if you're able to find some out there, but we've got the lighting and the boards through Snohomish County and a few other things. But one of the things that we wanted to do when we built City Hall here was have a big enough space to host our art show for the week. And unfortunately, we can't do that. But that's something that, you know, someday it would be really nice if we could have a bigger place to hold that. But for now, it works because we cram everybody in here and everybody loves every minute of the art show and the awards ceremony that goes on. With that being said, one of the things that I really like that you're still doing is the Manu Sood scholarship. It was just her birthday last month, and I think she would have been 92. And if you had the opportunity to meet her, I see Keith is shaking his head. I just adored that woman. I was on the Arts Commission for a long time, and her and I did some artwork for down by the Transit Center. There's a board that goes across, and we had fun making a lot of artwork for that, and it was just wonderful. But she is just a magnificent woman. So thank you for doing that. Also, one of the things is, you know, featuring live demos during the art show. And I know you've done it before, but it's really hard to getting people in there. And other ways to bring in money, space to hold the art show. I'm trying to think. And the other thing that I'd really like to see someday, and I've been preaching this for years, is an amphitheater in our parks, and hopefully maybe using some lodging tax money for that if we still have our hotel in the future. But it's a way to have a stage where it would be in the park. I've seen other cities do it, and they've built different troops coming in, doing some artwork during the summer. And I know it's hard with our weather being so bad sometimes, but water features, no, we've got one, been there, done that. They break down. I know it's interactive, but however you see fit, I'm just kind of being the yin to the yang on that feature. But the other thing that I also like is when you guys bring in high school artists. There's nothing better than seeing young talent out there and having their art being recognized out there. And I think that is huge to our community. But hang in there. I know it's a lot of work, but we sure do appreciate you. And Megan, it's really nice that you are 2 months now. Oh, perfect. That's wonderful. Well, welcome. And Ben, thanks. Good to see you again.
Excellent. And just point of clarification, I'm sorry, did you say you were on the Arts Commission or you were the liaison to the Arts Commission? Liaison. Oh, okay. I was going to say, I hadn't heard that you had been an Arts Commissioner. Oh, outstanding. I don't know if we knew that. Or at least I know I didn't know that. Any other comments, feedback? Councilmember Matsumoto Wright.
So, you know, this is another one that's special to me because of my background in art and performing arts and so forth, and that's one thing that we don't have. We've been working on it because once we get a stage, and I know Jeff is looking at me, Jeff, I know all it does is it just takes money. That's just, anything you want. It just takes money. But, you know, if we could get a stage with electricity and so forth, we can get Shakespeare in the Park. We can get bands, performance, music, so forth. I see one person in the audience here that probably knows 100 different bands or whatever, musicians. I know a few with art. If you want local artists, gosh, I don't know why, but I know a handful or more. And I've been wanting to get at least one large piece of Native art in this city because we don't have any. And I have been talking to one person who does a lot of 1% for the arts, and he's Native. And I would love to see him get a chance to do something because his work is wonderful. But again, we can just do it one at a time. What we have right now is our wonderful art show that is very well attended every year, but I guess we can get more local people to attend it. So this is something that is going to be high on my to-do list now, is to try to get social media out there. Everybody on the council, everybody out there, all the commissioners, if we start promoting each other's things all over our social media, we'll probably hit, you know, with Mountlake Terrace Facebook community page and so forth, we'll probably hit, I would like to say 90%, but I would say probably more than 50% of the people who live in the city. And it takes a village, because if we all help each other, we're not going to be in silos anymore. The arts department, the arts commission can work with the DEI commission, can work with the Parks Commission, they can work with the planning commission, because that's, you know, we have buildings coming in here and they're drab. So why not start? We have somebody from the Edmonds who does the murals, who can come here and talk to us about the murals, exactly what it takes to get those things done. And she's been willing to come and talk, and yet we've never had her here. So let's start doing things, right? Thank you.
Excellent. I don't want to leave our colleague out there in cyberspace, because again, I don't really have a hand raise tool, but if you wanted to have any comments, we want to make sure we're checking in on you.
Nothing extra to add. Thank you, Mayor.
All righty, then we will close it out with my comments, and I think you know the policy. If you wouldn't mind jumping, in your case, to slide 4, where you list the names of your colleagues, and there's a photo. I don't think all of you are in that image, but you might be. Firstly, welcome, Megan. Thank you for stepping up. You might be our newest commissioner across the spectrum, so thank you for that. That's always exciting and good feedback for the city, that when we have these openings, people really are interested in stepping in and leading their city. So thank you for doing that leadership. That said, collectively speaking, and Ben as well, speaking today as a chair, if you will, vice chair, just thank you all for the work. You know, quite frankly, I think you all have the coolest commission, because you get to leave the longest lasting legacy. And I will just say, with that in mind, I'm surprised nobody said it, congratulations on finding a new home for Mother Justice. I still don't know that running joke, but I think it's a great looking statue. And the fact that it's, I don't get it. So I'm just going to say the fact that it's now greeting folks as they enter the police station, I don't think we could have a better message than Mother Justice right now. So thank you for that. But to me, you know, I also look around and see that we have a lot of spaces that, as you're pointing out, that could be populated with art. So just want to congratulate you all on making that part of your work plan, an intentional part of your work plan. And then lastly, I would just say I love that idea of figuring out who here considers themselves an artist. Whether they share it publicly or not, I would make sure you leave that room for folks to kind of just step into the light. But then more importantly, I would say not leaving it just to all of you to get that tracked down, but figuring out what are some touch points throughout the city. Because I'm thinking to myself, well, we have National Night Out. I think you all have a booth then. And if not, we should start thinking about getting your message out there. 3rd of July, I mean, there's a lot of gatherings times that we're already doing in the spirit of collaborating, where it'd be just great to have you there or have someone representing your booth there where we're just trying to catalog who's here. And it's a weird time to be cataloging, right? So it's one of those where I want to be careful with the language that we use, but at the end of the day, we do want people to identify themselves, and it sounds like there could be potential to have their work supported, which I suspect a lot of artists are, out there on their own and would love to know that their city would love to figure out how to support them. So thank you for making that part of the work plan. With that, we will keep it moving forward and move on to our last presentation, which is the Recreation and Parks Advisory Commission with Selena as their liaison.
All right. Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name's Selena Williams. I'm the Park Supervisor for the city. And alongside of me are our RPAC commissioners. I serve as the liaison for the Recreation Advisory Commission, as well as the Neighborhood Parks Improvement Subcommittee. So alongside me, we have our chair, Forrest Rita, Commissioner Keith Edholm. He is also the liaison from RPAC to the NPIS committee. And then we also have Commissioner George Stanton. Tonight we'll be going over reflecting on 2025 accomplishments and our 2026 work plan. So with that, I'll pass it along to our chair, Forrest Rita.
Good evening. It's great to be here. Thank you so much for having us. And we are thrilled to be here. We have a very engaged group. We have wonderful meetings, and our wonderful liaison, Councilmember Sonmore, is also a big part of what we do. But first, our relationship with the city, with Jeff and Selena, is just incredible, and also Andrew Applewick. The things and work that they do is second to none, and we just want to acknowledge how great they are to work with. So thank you very much. As Selena said, I am the chair, but I have a very strong group of commissioners, including our vice chair, Audrey, and then Commissioner Edholm, who's also the dean of our group, and his experience is very well. We appreciate it very much. And then we have Commissioner Lavoie, Commissioner Cross, Commissioner Stanton, who's I think our newest member, and just has been a wonderful addition to our group. And then we're going to acknowledge the very great work of Commissioners Nemi and Luna, who left our board this year, our commission this year, but they were wonderful in their tenure on RPAC. And then this picture is of me at I think an Ivy League event that the mayor and council members know because you guys participate with us. But also I want to mention that Councilmember Page has been alongside me at some of these events this year, pulling that ivy off the trees, and it's been great to see everyone in the community out at these events. We'll talk about these events as we go on, but it's just the best way to get your community engaged is actually out there pulling the ivy and making our parks as beautiful as possible. So the vision of RPAC is to nurture, support, and promote a well-connected, vibrant, and regionally important recreation parks and open space system that encourages interaction and understanding amongst its residents. We're looking at Ballinger Park in this picture. Ballinger Park, like Terrace Park, like Veterans Park, they are parks as well as thoroughfares for our residents to get from one part of the city to the other. That's one of the beauties of Mountlake Terrace's park system. That's why they're vital, because it's how our residents get to light rail. It's how they get to the interurban trail. It's how they get from one part of Mountlake Terrace to the other. I have noticed light cell reception in Terrace Creek Park. I don't mind it because I like to be out in the woods with my dogs. And so we are your sneakers on the ground. You're also your boots on the ground. And so that's part of our mission is to talk to people, to our neighbors about what they want, where they want parks in Melody Hill and other parts of the town that aren't as park heavy. And then like what kind of installations they want, whether it's enhanced playgrounds or whether we need another dog area. And so we hear these comments from our community and we try and bring them into the city. So yeah. Some of our roles and responsibilities, we review the service fees, we participate at special events, we tour parks in Mountlake Terrace. One of us is in a park every day, and also outside. I love to travel within the state and out of the state, out of the country. I always make it an effort to go see the parks and see how we stack up. We stack up very well. One of our commissioners is actually in Japan as we speak, and she said that she would be looking at some parks over there too, to bring just some international flavor. Culture is a huge part of our parks, and just to focus on our shared experiences and shared cultures here. And so I've talked about our other things here, so we can go to the next slide. And then this is, I'll turn it over to Commissioner Edholm. Oh, okay, all right, my mistake. Molly Luna was the chair when I joined a couple years ago, and her leadership has just, it's been the benchmark for me to try and, match up to. I don't, but it's a goal. And then Commissioner Nemi was a wonderful presence and was a great voice. And so we want to just recognize their service as volunteers. Our meetings usually go 2 hours, and it's just, there's a lot to talk about and a lot to discuss. So we're grateful for their time. And we, and also Commissioner Luna has also been dedicating some volunteer time with her family, so she's still around. Now I'll turn it over to Commissioner Edholm.
The NPIS, and somebody that doesn't know all of the alphabet soup in the city, that's the Neighborhood Park Improvement Subcommittee. Their main job is to make recommendations to RPAC regarding upgrades, improvements, replacements, and concerns throughout the neighborhood parks. 2025 was a very active year for the members, committee members. Start off by saying that there are currently 9 neighborhood parks, 1 regional park, and we have 1 person that is a, yeah, that one, at large. So there are 11 people on the subcommittee, which is quite a bit bigger than RPAC itself. There are currently 2 parks without members, without somebody representing the park, as you can see on the vacant mentions up there. RPAC has recently appointed Kieran Mittel to be the at-large position, and Tom Hollingshead as representative for Terrace Creek Park. So we still have 2 parks that are not covered, which is Ballinger and Terrace Ridge Park. 5 individuals in the past year have come and gone on the membership of the committee. Jacqueline Howell, who represented Terrace Ridge Park. Dan Mahoney, who represented Terrace Creek Park, and some people know that by Candy Cane Park. Chris Finch, who was representative to the Terrace Creek Park, and he is of course, moved on to the Planning Commission. George Stanton, who represented Ballinger Park, and he's nicely moved over to RPAC. And Justina Lee, who filled in, who was in the at-large position. I wish to give a thanks to all these former members of the committee. They did a very good job, and so anyway, that's with that one there. The NPIS took part. Is that going to be there? It's going to be there. I think I did this in the wrong order. No. Yes, it's down there. NPIS I wasn't like this when I practiced. One of the big responsibilities of the NPIS is we take an annual tour of all of our neighborhood parks. They take an inventory of each of the parks, and they determine what needs the parks have. They identify park projects and prioritize them. They monitor park improvements to be advocates of the neighborhood park and regional parks system. They are the eyes and the ears for the parks, and they are a link between the parks, park users, and the RPAC. Not quite. Yeah, there we go. In 2024, we had a total of 1,118 hours, 19 hours, of volunteer hours donated to the city. In 2025, that total had raised to 1,524 and a half hours that were donated to the parks. There were 580 volunteers who donated these hours. The volunteers included the Adopt a Park program, the Friends of Ballinger, Sound Community Bank, the Ivy League, the Ballinger family, and Eagle Scouts, who donated 402 hours on their very own. And then we say, yep. Is that one yours?
Yep.
I now turn over the mic to George.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, do you mind just sliding back to the last one briefly here? Just a couple of things I want to note here, just out of these really big accomplishments from 2025, we did see quite a huge increase in volunteer hours between 2024 and 2025, which was a 36% increase year over year. And you can kind of see the bottom line number there. Eagle Scouts volunteered 402 hours in 2025, which is a 20 times increase from the previous year. And I think that's just really remarkable, and it says a lot about our wonderful city staff and their engagement with the community. As I understand, we go above and beyond in terms of what cities do to engage with people who want to come out and volunteer. And so we see huge numbers like these, and I think a lot of that is credit to our city staff. We had some really great special events in 2025 as well, which you can see listed here. I got the opportunity to attend many of these, and we had some new ones this year as well. I think the Bubble Play Day and the Luminaria were both brand new this year. My 15-month-old went crazy for that Bubble Play Day. It made his month, and it was really a wild event. where you could have a bubble be made around you. There are a lot of other great events up here as well, and I think this is a lot of what makes our community very vibrant. I had the opportunity to attend most of these, and I think we continue to see a lot of a great attendance to these, a great opportunity to see our neighbors and see Smokey the Bear out there, and really had a good time at these events. There was a lot of work done in 2025 as well, and so the image that we're seeing here is the Evergreen Playfield complex and a new path. It went from make sure to watch your ankles to smooth and easy to roll on. I personally got to take advantage of that. We're seeing huge changes down at Lake Ballinger and the improvements there, which are ongoing. If you ever have a chance to go walk the interurban trail behind there, you'll see just how transformed it is, and I think we'll see that open soon, which is very exciting. A couple of the other things here I want to call out as well. We had our first heritage tree recognition this year, and so that's really exciting. We're hoping to get more of those. And then, this was also the 7th year, I believe, in a row that we were Tree City USA. So that's really exciting. We've got great trees around here, and it's cool to see us be recognized for that. And one more call out from here as well is the Urban Forest Management Plan, which I personally think is very exciting. I know that the council got a presentation on that, and just the idea that, we're not just thinking about the next 5 years, but we're thinking about the next 1,000 years in terms of how we're planting trees and what's the climate going to be like and what's going to survive and thrive. Says a lot about the foresight of our city, and it's huge accomplishment there as well. And so we do have our 2026 work plan as well. So many of the things that happened in 2025 were big hits and are coming back this year as well. And so these are not only wonderful events to attend for anybody who is looking at this list, highly recommend it, but also an opportunity to volunteer and become a volunteer in your community as well. So you can reach out to Parks Department or any of us to get going on that and see how you can help. I won't read down the whole list here, but as you can see, we've got a lot going on.
I just want to note there's a correction here that April Fool's Day is April 11th, not the 12th, in case anyone's filling in their calendar off of this slide.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Stanton. To touch on the events quickly is that those are possible with the city, of course, and then with our other commissions, including the arts and including DEI. So it's great to be here tonight to hear their presentations, and I think that all of us are stronger when we interact together. All of these events are just incredible moments for all the neighbors to get together and celebrate, and I don't think you could have enough events, and so the parks that we have are wonderful venues for them, and I encourage us all to continue attending and planning these events. Some of the big projects, though, that we continue to work on this year, and this, again, with Jeff Betts, obtaining grant money and doing everything behind the scenes, along with Selena, just incredible work by the city, and of course, Mr. Applewick. But we're continuing on the Evergreen Playfield Complex improvements. The Ballinger West Side will hopefully be done soon. The Transit Connection Corridor Trail through Veterans, hopefully soon. And then we've been discussing improvements for the firefighters Memorial Playground. It's going to be really cool. So we're trying to have a park in every neighborhood. And the Tree City designation is wonderful, and then we're planning for the future of our wonderful historic pavilion. And so that's what we do, and the volunteer efforts of the city are wonderful. I've talked about some of these, but we'll just touch on a couple really cool ones. We're going to have the naming of the plaza, and that art will be installed, I believe, later this year too. The art piece next to the light rail. We're going to have some really cool signage for Lake Ballinger on both sides of the park there. And then we're always looking for neighborhood or for areas in the city that maybe the city could get through grant money to have additional parks in the areas of our cities less served by parks. I think it's important as we plan everything out and as things get developed that we keep a sliver of green everywhere we can with the trail through it, hopefully, so people can get through the city and they're not cut off by developments and parking lots. Trees for Parks has been, great. Heritage Tree Program has been amazing. And we are supporting the Urban Forestry Management Plan as much as we can. The tree board's been wonderful in our presentations to us. And I won't read all of these, but some highlights. We're excited about the Ballinger Organic Garden Club, the bog that'll be happening down at Lake Ballinger, as well as the food forest, future plans down there. The Boy and Girl Scout projects have been instrumental in getting stuff done with extra manpower beyond what the city can, provide. The Friends of Ballinger Park has been great. The Ivy League, though, it's absolutely incredible the work that that Vice Chair Audrey Meyer does. It's absolutely incredible. Her and her husband Brett, and all of us. Are just your volunteer effort is very much appreciated. And then the Terrace Soccer Club and the disc golf folks have been volunteering a lot more this year too, thanks to Selena's outreach to them. They have a Tuesday meetup, and then they're volunteering at least every other month, I believe. And we have other great stuff happening at the disc golf course. So all very, very cool. And with that, any questions from the council, we'd love to answer.
Questions, comments, feedback? It's getting late, clearly. Councilmember Murray.
Thanks, Mayor. Thank you all for being here, first of all, and thank you for all of your work. Parks, I think in particular, are one of the things we all, or at least I always hear about as a council member, that people appreciate about living in our community. And it's been so fun to see some of the improvements in our parks, particularly in recent years. I love that you talked about our parks being a way that folks connect and get across our city. I think that is something that at least I don't recall us talking about before, and I think you're absolutely right that they are not just a place that people go to be. They are often a place that people go through to get to where they need to go. And it is, I will say, as somebody who used to walk through Veterans Park each day on my way to and from work, I miss that. I will say, being able to connect with nature, as kind of without having to go out of my way as part of my day, absolutely made my days better. And I'm excited for the projects over there to get wrapped up so that folks can get back to experiencing that. So many thank you. I loved seeing the increase in volunteerism. That is super exciting. I think there's a hunger for folks to figure out how to connect. So I appreciate all of the work and intentionally building relationships amongst this group as well and bringing those volunteers in. I think that's often volunteering in our parks, I think, is often the first way that people that connect with the city experience some sort of connection and participation in volunteering with the city. So I love that it opens that door to getting them involved and meeting folks that are involved. And I just appreciate what a welcome atmosphere that always is when we have our National Days of Service, for instance. It is clear that there is intentional staff and commission effort to make people feel welcome and included. So thank you for all of the work there. Love that you talked about working across commissions, and I love that we are doing this, and I think this is our second year of having all of you here at the same time, and I appreciate that we have so many commissioners who want to figure out ways to work together to move things forward and make our community better. I think it does make our community better, and we have such great folks doing great work in so many places, so I love the intentionality around that, so thank you. I wanted to name, so we had lots of good folks roll off the commissions this year. We had a lot of good folks that have been around a long time though too, and I just want to make sure that we're saying thank you to all of you as well, and particularly those NPIS folks. I started on NPIS many years ago, and I mean, so Susan and Ann and Brandy and Kathy have been there a really, really long time doing good work in our parks that have made significant difference. And so thank you to them. I'm excited to find a couple more folks, and congratulations. So part of our consent calendar, which is that vote we take at the very beginning of the meeting, part of that tonight was approving a new member of your commission. So excited to welcome Lori Berger. The council talked a little bit about that at our last meeting, but she'll be joining your group, and I think we thought she would be a great addition. And so again, appreciate that folks are raising their hand to join and volunteer. I'll put a plug in. I think I do this most years. I love the vibrancy. I love the more events in the parks. I love seeing our parks activated. I think we've made such good strides in that space in recent years, and I'm so excited for that to continue. And I'll always put in a plug for recreation. I think we talk a lot about the PAC part of the commission in these meetings each year. I think the recreation part is also a really important part of how people experience in our city. And I think we've done a lot of work from a city perspective in expanding those opportunities in recent years. And I would just love to hear a little bit more about how the commission is engaged in that work, and hopefully giving people, again, opportunity to share their feedback. Because again, I think we're doing really good stuff, and we've expanded the reach exponentially in recent years. And I'd love to just make sure that's part of our conversation as well. But thank you all for the work, and no questions, just appreciation.
Questions, comments, feedback? Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I really, well said, Councilmember Murray. I really want to echo everything she said, and how, I mean, you guys are the fan favorites, right? I guess the best for last. I mean, some of us have Planning Commission near and dear to our heart, and we love arts and the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Commission. But truly, Parks and Recreation plays such an important role in our community, and our residents are proud of our parks and our recreation programs. We're known throughout the region for our parks and recreation programs, and the work that you guys do to make it all come together is so important. A shout out to particularly Vice Chair Audrey Meyer and all the work that all you guys do. But, Audrey has really stepped up all your guys' game, I guess, in so many different levels, with whether it's the Urban Forest Management Plan and program, the Ivy League, Organic Garden, all these different things. With the first tree, heritage tree, she's really helped lead the charge in so many different ways, and you guys have done a great job in helping to bring these different things to our community. And our NPIS and neighborhood parks improvements, how important that is for keeping a vigilant eye in each of our parks, sharing, being the liaison, I guess, to us, to you guys and to us, as far as what's important, how each of our neighborhood parks are playing a role in that neighborhood, and what is important to those residents in that area. I think that is, the feedback that we get from that and the interaction we have there is really important. I guess I want to take a minute to talk about the work plan. I mean, first of all, just so much appreciation for everything you guys do and how important Parks and Recreation plays in our community. But we've got a heavy lift ahead of us, and we're going to be relying a lot on you guys. And we talk about the work plan. We've got budget challenges, as we already know. And one of the things I know Councilmember Murray talks about the fee schedule during. I was wanting you to mention that during your comments. So I wanted you to go first, but I'm gonna take up that banner and talk about because of the budget challenges we're facing. One of the things we're going to need to do is go back and take a closer look, I think, at the fee schedule and figuring out how do we balance keeping the fees low, particularly for our residents, finding opportunities for grant programs for those in need to be able to participate in our programs here in our community, and how far can we increase fees for non-residents to be without losing, that supply and demand, right? So I think it's going to be important for us to really delve a little deeper into that area and figure out how do we address some of the budget challenges that we have, and look at particularly the non-residents paying more of their fair share in the programs that we provide without losing the programs, right? The other big area that we've got a huge challenge is our rec pavilion. We know we've been talking about that for decades, about how we need to have that replaced. It is time, and we've got to figure that out. And it's going to be expensive, and we're going to have to figure, our residents are very proud of our rec pavilion and having that, but now it's going to come time to how much do you appreciate that rec pavilion, and how much are we willing to pay to be able to keep it, or get a new one, really, right? And so whether it's doing a hefty bond measure and keeping it in-house in the city, or do we need to look at a Metropolitan Parks District? And those are going to be challenging questions that our community needs to face, and we're going to be relying in large part on you guys to be able to help carry that message and have that communication with our residents to be able to figure out what is the best path forward. What are we willing to do? What are we willing to pay? What are we willing to compromise? What are we willing to, how are we willing to work together with the region, surrounding region, potentially, to be able to help get us what we need and want and desire here in our community. And that's going to be a tremendous challenge that we're going to need to face now. And then, we've got to come up with our plan and be able to sell it to the community over the next year or two. So really look forward to having you guys involved and engaged in that part of it, and appreciate all the work that you guys have done and are going to be doing, the heavy lift that you're going to be doing moving forward. So thank you.
Additional feedback? Councilmember Sonmore.
Well, first I want to start out with the longevity, and that would be Keith. The older I get, the more I appreciate people's time that they take and they put into volunteerism and contribute towards the city. And so, Keith, thank you for your years and years of experience in working with NPIS and being a neighbor, and always the voice of reason on our committee. And so I always appreciate that. And then next, Selena, I don't know if I wasn't a Star Wars person or whatever. I want to say you assimilated, or whatever that word, just right into your role. And I just really wanted to appreciate you. You weren't clunky going in. You were just very attentive to everybody that was on the board, and you're just a perfect fit right there. So thank you for doing that, because you guys had mentioned our meetings go long, and they do. I mean, it can be like 3 hours, and we're just sitting there talking about everything, because our leadership with Jeff and Selena help make it just kind of go together and everybody gets along. And that's for us too. Molly would be proud of the chair that you've taken over and how you structure it. And I always appreciate the feedback that you give us when you go into all our parks. You said sneakers, and I had to giggle because you talk about, going through the parks and bringing your dogs, that we got to meet one of your dogs, and having that insight. That is really important to the commission, seeing that. And then, George, you're not off the hook either. You and Joe have the little ones, right? And so being a grandmother, I really appreciate hearing about the little kid things. You talked about fixing a bell, and when you get older, you don't think about fixing a bell. And then, being engulfed in a bubble, maybe that will be one of our activities at our board meeting one of these days, because that sounds like fun. But you guys bring in that different mix of having young children and seeing our parks from little ones' eyes, because we haven't talked a whole lot about that, but you guys keep it fresh with having that conversation, and being a newer board member, you've brought a lot to the table on that. So thank you for that. And just with Alana, we never got a chance to do our metal detectors in the park, so I miss her. You know, she would talk about how properly to feed birds and wildlife in our neighborhoods. And then Molly had been a long-standing volunteer, and she offered a lot. And I know she was also helping cleaning up Firefighters Park for a while because she lives over in that area. But one of the things, I know the doom and gloom of the budget, but one of the bright things about RPAC is volunteer hours and what that contributes and how important that is to get people to volunteer, because that really helps with cleaning up the parks, keeping them clean at no cost, but making people feel good when they're volunteering. And I think that's a huge thing. I think I've hit everything. But, you know, last but not least, who can't love a park? And I like to say, who can't love a commissioner in RPAC or NPIS, because you guys are great. And thank you for taking the time to volunteer. You know, we stay late. You have young children at home. You got to go to work in the morning, but you guys stay and you continuously try and improve things. And maybe one of the things maybe we could add to the work plan, if you don't kill me, is just the dog park. And I say that from a former council member, Michelle Angrick. She fought so hard to get that dog park, and it's still there, and something that, you know, I think our commission can take some credit for on the work plan is just, we can just take a little visit over there and visit it and just make sure that, you know, that's keeping alive. But with that, thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Other feedback, comments? Councilmember Matsumoto Wright.
So one thing that we really are lucky, is that we have the volunteer hours that we have. I'm sure that other cities have it, but we really have it. And we have people on this committee that actually goes and uses the parks, which is another, and I've been hearing about a trail that one of you wants in the Melody Hill area, which makes a lot of sense, because a trail needs to lead from one place to another. It just can't lead from one not, you know, it has to lead from one place you want to be to another place you want to be. And also Melody Hill is lacking a park. So I guess I'm still on the Conservation Futures Committee at the Snohomish County level. And we have money to give away. And that type of a park is exactly what we give money for. And so we've been looking, I've been looking, I know Forrest has been looking. If we can find a piece of property in Melody Hill that is, maybe it's a house that's all, you know, not doing very well, whatever. Or a vacant lot is even better. You know, come to us with that, because then we can put in that, is it a grant, Jeff, that we have to send into Conservation Futures? And if we put some of our own money into it, we have a better chance of getting it. So I think we missed by one of the lots that went up for sale. That would have been perfect. But again, you know, several of us have our eyes out. And I understand that I live in an area that doesn't have a park within a half a mile, that you can walk to. So there's still areas. We have a lot of parks in Mountlake Terrace, and we're proud of them. But we still have areas that we don't have parks. I live near you, Keith, and you're closer to Bicentennial Park. That's a little far for me to walk. So we have a lot of work to do, but I do know that out of all of our committees that we have, commissions, the volunteer hours in your committee, your commission, is the best, the most. And I think we all should be proud of that. That's it.
Outstanding. I'm looking online, not seeing any more. All good. So we'll close it out with my comments and recognizing the hour. I won't keep you that long. I will just again start with your folks, which was the NPIS on page 7, if you wouldn't mind jumping to that. Truly the folks who have expanded the concept of what is mine. And I mean that in the sense of you have a home that you're taking care of, and then you've expanded that to say, I'm going to take care of the park near my home as well, which I think is one of the most genuine acts of giving you can do, which is to take over another space and just to take ownership of that and make sure that it stays beautiful. So thank you to all our NPIS folks. Every now and then you make it out here, and so it's a few times that we get to see you, but you all do such an amazing job, and just want to make sure we say thank you. Then if you would move back up to your actual commission, and again, just recognizing those hours upon hours that you're sitting in, more hours right now you don't get to count. Just thank you for that time. I have this vision of, I won't put you through right now, but I will just say if Mountlake Terrace was the Big Dipper, I'll just be real quick. I don't know what you know about the Big Dipper, but it's one of the most recognizable celestial bodies in the sky, no matter heavy city or like us, open spaces where you can appreciate the skyline. Well, within that panhandle, so it's the farthest point, then it's the pan, and then it jumps down to the box, if you will. That makes it there it is, the Big Dipper. You all are right there in that panhandle, and that's known as Alcor and Mizar. What I just mean by that is recognizing that those are actually 6 different bodies out there. There's a double binary system and a binary system, and they all work together to stay where they're at. And to me, I say to myself, that's the role you all play. We look up at that and we think Mountlake Terrace, but without you all, it would just be a box up there. So again, I'm not doing the best job this hour to kind of to convey that, but just kind of recognizing you all are really Mountlake Terrace. I think you have that responsibility. NPIS, as well as the commissioners, and having to work together is the part where I'm going with that. And nobody notices is kind of the point I'm making. Most people just look up and presume it was the stars I just said, and I just told you one of those stars is 6 stars in one. So again, just thank you for that work. But more importantly, I would leave it at, and I mean this as sincerely as possible, I sincerely hope that from RPAC to NPIS, that you all are proud that you have 2 of your own sitting up here, but 1 sitting up here now with that title in particular. I couldn't be more proud to say that my origin started with the library board, but my actual connection to the city started with you all, right? That was when I really began to understand what this city could be about, and I will always thank our former city clerk for not letting me walk away when it was the library board was sunset. She said, we got to find you a spot. And interesting enough, it was either the planning commission or the library board. And thankfully, the planning commission person decided not to step away. So I ended up with you all, and it's just never been the same for me. It's just, again, just a new love for the city. And I spent a lot of time outdoors, but it was always in my backyard. So again, going back to NPIS to think about things outside of your own property and taking ownership of, I had been doing elements of that, but nothing like that until I met you all. And you all do that as a matter of default. And so I just want to say thank you for that. With that, release you to the streets, as they say, and we will move forward to our city manager report.
Thank you, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of council. A couple things to mention. I did have on my list that we had received for the 7th year in a row our Tree City Award. So that was mentioned earlier tonight, and that's great. I really wanted to highlight that. I also wanted to mention that we received the Growth Award from the Arbor Day Foundation, and that has a lot to do with our planting of trees as part of the Sound Transit Mitigation Project. So it's just a recognition of the work we're doing there. And finally, well, not finally, but close, we are also awarded the Well City Award from the Association of Washington Cities. It's a great thing. We keep our employee team healthy, and it also comes with a 1.5% discount on our health insurance premium. So good for everybody. Next, wanted to mention, as we are continuing our search for a new community development director, Matthew Gissel, who you heard from a little bit earlier tonight with the Planning Commission, will be the interim in that capacity until we select a new director and that person comes on board. And finally, I wanted to address some issues with waste management and the coupons and the pictures on the sides of the, pictures on the extra bags. We have reached out to Waste Management. We're working on a solution. There's actually potentially a solution that was already in the contract with an alternative process, and we're discussing that with them now, and hopefully we'll have some good news to report soon. But I did want to recognize the complaints from citizens that we've received, and that we're addressing those with our partner, and hopefully we'll have a solution relatively shortly. So with that, that's all I have. Happy to answer any questions.
Fabulous. Any questions for the city manager? Seeing none, we will move on to our council liaison reports. And we'll start here on my right with the Honorable Councilmember Aaron Murray.
Thank you, Mayor. So on the 9th, we had board and commission interviews. We have a new subcommittee this year. So after a number of years of working with the same folks, it was fun to have a new group. Our two newest council members joined that subcommittee with me this year. So appreciate their time and energy, as well as our newest board member, or our newest commissioner, who we just appointed tonight. So again, congratulations to Lori, whose last name was somewhere else in my notes, but grateful for her raising her hand. And I guess I would just make a plug to folks who have been inspired by the boards and commission reports tonight. If that is something that you are interested in being a part of, I think April-ish timeframe. Jennifer, correct me if I'm wrong. Yes. Okay. April-ish timeframe is when you should see opportunities to raise your hand if you're interested in going through the process here for future appointments. So would encourage you to, I think the other piece is, this was a great opportunity for a little bit of insight into what these boards and commissions do. And as we heard, those meetings are open. So if you are thinking about raising your hand, would encourage you to take some time to go visit one of their meetings and see a little bit more about whether or not it might be a good fit for you. On the 12th, we had our work session. And then last night we had our monthly Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Commission meeting. They are knee-deep in all sorts of events and upcoming activities. I guess a couple that are coming up soon that I will flag for you. And I think some of these were mentioned in kind of various capacities, but to make sure that everybody has that information. So they're partnering with the Edmonds School District on a month to participate in a multilingual and multicultural night over at Mountlake Terrace High School. That event is on March 18th from 5:30 to 7. They're going to have a table at the event and share a little bit more about city services, and are talking about some other cool ideas. So definitely would invite folks to join and attend the event. Women's History Month, as the mayor mentioned, some information about that. That is March 29th from 2 to 4 at the Mountlake Terrace Library. They're partnering with Girl Scouts and the League of Women Voters and Snow Isle Libraries, Mountlake Terrace High School Clubs, the Association of University Women, etc. There's going to be a filming screening of Girl Rising, which is a documentary on girls' education and empowerment. Then following that, there'll be a discussion. There'll also be some interactive resource tables and a wall of inspiration. So definitely would encourage folks to join that as well. And as you're looking a little bit further ahead, in April, Children's Day is coming back for those that have participated here in that newer event for the city in recent years. That'll be back on April 23rd from 6 to 7:30 here at City Hall, and would definitely invite folks to put that on their calendar, and more information to come. And then the only other thing I would mention from the meeting, there was an ask put forward from the Edmonds School District Foundation. They run a pantry for students, and they received a large volume of food, and they were looking for some extra hands tomorrow morning from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. At Edmonds Heights. So I have more information and happy to share if anybody has availability tomorrow morning to help them process some of that. So with that, and I will just add excitement about light rail, because my kids like to tell me that I get nerdy about trains, but it's very exciting. If you haven't ridden light rail lately, now with the Line 2 testing, they're coming like every 4 to 5 minutes. So like you literally don't even have to think when you get there. Like there is always a light rail, a new train coming in just a few minutes, which is pretty darn cool if you ask me. So anyhow, I will leave it there. Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. I don't think that's nerdy at all. I saw the two in our station and pulled over to take a photo. All right, so we're going to stick with moving down the dais, but that's going to make us jump out into cyberspace, and we'll go with the Honorable Sam Doyle.
Thank you, Mayor. Recent things, I had the pleasure of speaking with the Washington Institute for Democratic Future a while ago about future fellows and future, hopefully future elected officials. I met with Christy Osborne and Gary Shumick as part of my kind of DIY get to know the city. Earlier this month, we had our meeting on the 5th. I participated in the RPAC interviews on the 9th with Councilmember Murray, Councilmember Page. I had the pleasure of going to the brand development open house on the 11th. That was a fantastic event and really wonderful to see so many people there. That's all I have for the month. And hopefully next month I'll be meeting with BSU students, with you, Mayor, and with Councilmember Page at Mountlake Terrace High School.
Outstanding. We're going to jump over and work our way back, and we'll start with the Honorable Councilmember Matsumoto Wright.
Thank you. So on the 6th of February, I had my first in-person one-on-one meeting with the CEO of Community Transit, since I'm now on the board, with Rick Ilgen Fritz. And then on the 11th of February, I attended the Mountlake Terrace branding open house, which I was glad to see so many people that I didn't even know. And they're showing up now, so that's great. On the 12th, I had my one-on-one with Mayor Pro Tem Wall and Jeff Knighton. And on the 13th, I decided, since I've been invited so many times, to see what's going on at the Lake Ballinger Center. And it's a conversation. So I thought, wow, I wonder what this conversation is about. And so I attended, and I saw one of our staff members there, Andrew Applewick, which is kind of neat because he's in there listening to the conversation too. And so I thought, well, if I have time, I might drop by a little bit more often to see what's going on. And on the 17th, let's see, we got together and we toured the Mountlake Terrace 911 backup system, which we still have in Mountlake Terrace, and then the Public Works Department. And I just want to say a few things about the Public Works Department, because a lot of people think that, we need money for the pool, we need money for this, we need money for that, and we need to up our prices for this and that and so forth. But what would happen if you really needed your pothole fixed and you couldn't because the Public Works Department didn't have enough trucks, didn't have the equipment, didn't have the manpower? I mean, they're so invisible to us, and yet they are probably the backbone. Like if it snows, who are you going to ask to get your road plowed? It's the Public Works Department. They're the ones that have to come in extra early before anyone else to sand the place, your streets, to sand the ice and to use the plows if it's snowing. Their facility is still standing and it's in pretty good condition, but we really need to start looking at maintenance. And then while we were there, they were fixing the sweeper, right? And I didn't realize that, because you want the sweeper to come and then take away all the debris that's on the street. But did you know that every time they did that, they have to clean it? And there's someone that has to go underneath that truck, and that gunk that comes off that truck. I mean, it is amazing. And I would love to, if it was at all possible, to have a tour of regular residents taking a tour of what goes on behind the scenes, the things that you don't even see, the things you don't even think about. Because that's where part of our money goes to. And they've not asked us for money with all of these things that needs to get done. But we need to get it done. as much as we need to get a new pool, as much as we need to get a lot of things in the city, I don't think you're going to want to go without your potholes being fixed, because that's literally what it comes down to. So I knew nothing, I knew a little bit about the Public Works Department, and I've toured it before several times, but this is the first time that it really sunk in. It did sink in a little bit before that, not that, you know. But we need to start talking about that and thinking about that too. On the 18th of February, I attended my first real Community Transit Board meeting as vice chair. And today, I also attended I'm on a committee at Community Transit, and I attended that meeting too, but that was on Zoom. And then today I attended the board workshop. They have 4 workshops a year, and it runs just like a board meeting. And today, I just want to mention that we talked about Zip car, and how is it working in Darrington, Lake Stevens, Arlington, and Linwood. The majority of the people who use the Zip car service are students, because that frees up the parents from having to come in the middle of the day to pick up their child to take them to soccer practice, whatever. They looked at the perimeter, the outline of where the Zip car service is going to be, and in many cases, they have the high school involved in the map, because the people from the high school are using it a lot. The other big users are seniors, the people who don't have a way of getting to the grocery store. This costs them. It is just like an Uber service, but it costs them whatever it takes costs to take a bus. And for seniors, how much is that? $1. So you get a Zip car service. For $1, you get to go to the grocery store, and then you get to come back. Or and then the other thing that it is being used for is to take you from your home to a transit center. And in Lake Stevens, and all these other places, they have little places where you have a transit center. For us, it'll be light rail. It's really, really successful in Linwood, getting you from one place to the light rail. Because as we all know, people are parking in our streets here, and they're now parking in the City Hall parking lot and other parking lots. And pretty soon, we're not going to have any place for us to park if we live in our neighborhood, only during the day. But I'm really, really pushing for Mountlake Terrace to be one of the cities to get the Zip car service. And I'm really, really hoping that we can get it all the way, because Lake Stevens, Arlington, they're like 12 square miles. We're only 4 square miles, so why can't we have the Zip car service in our whole city? So I didn't get on the Community Transit Board just for this, but I'm finding out that, boy, oh boy, we can probably get this service over here, and I want to get it soon. That's the end of my report.
Thank you kindly. We'll have up next the Honorable Councilmember Laura Sonmore.
And I know that's a big task to be on that board. Thank you. So congratulations on that, and we'll maybe take a Zip car one of these days somewhere. So I just want to report, I attended Left One, and we had our last financial meeting in January, and that report will be coming to you soon. That's all.
Thank you. We'll round that out with the Honorable Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Since I missed the last meeting, I have to go all the way back to the beginning of the year, and I'll be rapid fire through most of this. So on January 7th, had the Snohomish County Tomorrow Executive Committee meeting, and then at 1 o'clock had the branding, the branding marketing project team meeting. On the 8th, had the, what was this? Oh, it was, sorry, the meeting with Cindy Ryu, Representative Ryu, about our legislative priorities for the Mountlake Terrace for the upcoming session. Then at 1 o'clock, had the meeting with the city manager meeting with myself and Councilmember Matsumoto Wright. At 6 o'clock, we had we did our photo session for the council, new council, and then at 7 o'clock we had our work session. Then on the 9th at 11 had the Linwood Neighborhood Center opening. I think we reported on that. Others reported on that 2 weeks ago, so I'll just say how exciting that is. Then on the 13th had the Snohomish County Tomorrow Exploratory Committee meeting, where we, I'll save my rest of my report on that for my next meeting in February. Then had our fiscal town hall meeting, virtual meeting, Zoom meeting for the Financial Sustainability Task Force. Then on the 14th of January, we had the ribbon cutting for the Mountlake Terrace Licensing Center at 11 a.m. Then at 1 p.m. had the Mountlake Terrace placemaking meeting. Then let's see, 6:30. No, sorry. And then 6:30 was the fiscal town hall in-person meeting for the Financial Sustainability Task Force report and recommendations and feedback from the community. Then on the 15th had the Snohomish County Cities Dinner, where we elected our new positions, and I was elected to the Snohomish County Cities Executive Committee and to the Puget Sound Regional Council Executive Board. Then on the 22nd had the Puget Sound Regional Council Operations Committee meeting, which, by the way, I was also appointed to the Finance Committee for the Puget Sound Regional Council, followed by at 10 a.m. had the Puget Sound Regional Council Executive Board meeting. Then, let's see, we had our work study session on the 22nd. Okay. Finally, to February 10th, at noon, had the South Snohomish County Council President's meeting. Then at 1 o'clock, had the Snohomish County Tomorrow Exploratory Committee meeting, where we are officially recommending a new committee for housing and a new committee for economic development under Snohomish County Tomorrow Steering Committee, and are recommending officially an expansion of the Infrastructure Coordinating Committee, which will to ensure that we are better planning for our other infrastructure like utilities. Then on the 11th had our MLT branding open house, where we got feedback from our community on where we're going with our marketing and branding strategy. Then on the 12th, had the meeting with the city manager and Councilmember Matsumoto Wright to talk about our city activities. At 3 o'clock, had the Snohomish County City's Executive Board meeting, and followed by the City Council meeting at 7 o'clock. Then I met with our UNA to talk about Mountlake Terrace planning activities. Then on the 17th, had the Public Works Operations and Emergency Operations Center and Snow 911 tour. And the 18th had the Snohomish County Cities Collaboration lunch, where we meet with our South County neighbors, Edmonds, Linwood, Briar, Mill Creek, and Mukilteo, and ourselves, and we talk about ways we can better serve our residents in a more cost-efficient and effective manner, streamlining services, finding ways that we can partner up and do a better job serving our residents through. This last meeting, we talked about this, the social embedded program and crisis response program that Snohomish County Fire has, the Scout program, and different things along the way that we're doing to help better serve those in need in our community. And we also had a great report from Hasco and AHA, and I wanted to mention that I suppose I could wait until new business, but I'll just get out of the way now so that we don't have to carry on. But we had a great report from Hasco, follow-up meeting from Hasco about what we can be doing to address affordable housing issues in our area. And they did a great job of pointing out a number of different aspects. I mean, one is there are limited funding available for affordable housing, but there's ways that we can access that, and we need to, we've got the 1406 sales tax revenues sitting at basically in a bank account at the county level that we can access to be able to address affordable housing needs here in our community. So we need to, they gave us a great rundown on how we can take advantage of that. But they also talked a lot about the cost of housing and how it is impossible, literally impossible, for even nonprofit organizations who specialize in affordable housing to provide affordable housing under $1,500. So in other words, that planning for 30% AMI is impossible for us to achieve in our area because of the rising cost of housing overall. Whether it's just the cost of developing, the building, the lot, the regulatory environment that housing is under in general makes it adds, I think, what was it, 30%? Just the regulations that we put, all, with good intentions, but good intentions need to understand the impact it has on the cost of housing. And it adds like 30% to the underlying cost of just building a home. And so that's one of the challenges that we face, and not just for affordable housing, but housing overall. And so there are some things that we can be working on here at the local level within our city. There are things we need to be advocating for change at the state level to be able to help us address the cost of housing. Anyway, I think it would be great to have Hasco and AHA come out, both Lori and Chris come out and give a presentation to us about their findings from their perspective on the cost of housing, what we can be doing about it, what the impact is, and what the affordability measurement, we always love hearing from Chris Collier about the metrics and the numbers and what it actually, what the affordability range is and how difficult it is for people to afford housing and or putting a roof over their head in general, whether rental housing, et cetera. Anyway, I'll leave it at that and just encourage us to have a presentation so that you all can hear about the importance of those issues. And I think that I will leave it at that for wrapping up my report. Thank you.
Can I just ask a clarifying question? Please. Is that $1,500 per unit or $150,000?
It's just, I'm sorry, it's the monthly cost.
Okay.
Is they can't get under providing monthly rental units for under $1,500 per month.
That's why the vouchers need to come in. Yep. And also to build it, they can't build units for less than $150,000 a unit. $500,000 now per unit. That's how much it costs to build an affordable, to give people affordable housing. That's how much the builders, the developers are going to have to spend per unit. And so it's got to get subsidized by something, and that's pretty much vouchers.
All right, folks, my council report. Let's see if I can do this before we have to vote. On the 6th, I was able to make it to the Seashore Transportation Board meeting. And funny note, whoever the alternate is, know that that's an online meeting. But I did make it there, which is a longer story for another day. On the 10th, I did make it to our Left One meeting as well. On the 11th, I participated in the branding open house. I, too, was just simply moved by how many people, especially new people, were in this space, who had never been in this space before, and were very interested in knowing how we were going to brand this city and get their voice heard. On the 12th, I had my one-on-one with our city manager. Just want to revisit to make sure everybody is having their one-on-ones, and if you're not, we need you to identify how that's going to happen. I'm happy to be a part of that conversation. But a lot of good information is passed through our one-on-one meetings, so we'll make sure everyone has that. We had identified that as a concern. On the 13th, this is the only one I will really expand upon. I was invited by the Everett Public School District, their Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Department, to speak at their Empower to Lead conference, which was 200 high school students between 9th and 12th grade. And for anybody who has any anxiety around public speaking, let me paint a picture for you. They had spent the entire morning together from 8 o'clock until I came to talk to them at 11:30. At 11 o'clock, they had lunch. At noon, they just had to hop on a bus to go back to their school because it was early release day to be out this entire week. No pressure is what I'm trying to say. That said, it was received very well. I had a wonderful time, but believe you me, that was not for the faint of heart if you do not like public speaking. I, too, on the 17th, joined the operations tour. And did I mention it was Friday the 13th? I don't know if that lands on people the way it should. The 17th operations tour. On the 18th, I, too, had the opportunity to join the South County Leaders Meeting. And then this morning and tomorrow morning, I'm bringing this up for folks who want to get involved. We have a lot of volunteers. Firstly, shout out, I should go back to the operations tour. Shout out to Jack, who was the one cleaning the sweeper, but also shout out to our Adopt a Drain folks. I don't know where their numbers get counted, but those are also very important and valuable hours, not just because Matsumoto, Wright, Woodard, and Page, I think, are folks who clean out those drains consistently, are part of that group, but just want to put that out there, that we appreciate your work as well. You all do a great work. But that said, tying back to getting involved, this morning and tomorrow morning, I drive the cold weather shelter van, and you should be like, what? Because that's how I'm doing that, which is to say that we have a cold weather shelter season that has really upticked here, folks. It is snow flurries this morning, and there are county-wide cold weather shelters, and they all need some form of help. They genuinely run on volunteer support. So please, if you have some time, look into your local cold weather shelter and see how you can get involved. Moving on now to new business. Any additional new business? All right, just the one that I have, which would just be to say, going back to the Linwood Neighborhood Center being open, I want to keep reiterating this is our building, Mountlake Terrace. The Linwood Neighborhood Center is our building. One of our commissioners out here played a big role on the steering committee to make sure that this was also our building, but that is to let you know that we're populating that building, and one of the spaces that is a new resource that you should know about is the Community Resource Center inside of the Linwood Neighborhood Center. So I've passed on a flyer to the city manager and clerk, who will pass that to the councils that you all are aware, but again, I would just make it clear to all residents of Mountlake Terrace that this is your building. You can go to the website and see what's populating that building. All of them are great resources. Any other new business? Seeing none, I have the honor of saying we are adjourned.